Defining Duke is brought to you by Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. And that's why as a small business owner, I find Indeed mighty attractive as an option. With Instant Match, over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job according to Indeed data. So start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Duke. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/Duke. Indeed.com/Duke. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here, and welcome to episode 75 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. We are uniting after what feels like a long time away. We didn't have an episode on our usual day because today is the day we talk about the Xbox Bethesda Games Showcase. Today, I'm joined by the wanderer of GCX, my co-host, Lord Cognito. How are you, man?
Yo, what's going on, Maddie, man? Live from Orlando. You know what I mean? It's a little different setup, but shout out to GCX, man. But you know what we're here for. You know what we're here for. We got things to talk about, a big showcase. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I snuck on Twitter to see a little bit of your takes just to kind of get a vibe of certain things. So I wanted to see, but we got stuff to talk about, man.
We do. There are a lot of games. Xbox focused on games for the next 12 months. There were 30 plus titles coming to Game Pass. They're focusing on monthly Game Pass games. There were some omissions. We will talk about those after the fact. But what I wanted to do was, as I provided you the list, Cog, go game by game with everything that was shown for this showcase and just break down each one individually and then talk about the showcase as a whole. Before anything, though, if you're new here, first of all, welcome. We're a weekly Xbox podcast focused on news, what games we're playing. We do Game Pass Pick of the Week, all that stuff. Our usual cadence is out the window. We normally have Patreon questions, all that stuff, but we're working with urgency here. Shout out to Ben and Dustin for being on top of things, because this is going to be what we call an aggressive episode. We're going to coin the term. Normally, our early access goes out on Thursdays. It goes out on free feeds on Sundays. What we're doing here is day and date for both, like Xbox with Game Pass and a console exclusive. We're day and date, so we're launching this show the day after the showcase for both feeds. So it's a little different this time around. But if you want to support our show, we're available at patreon.com/laststandmedia, where you can head over there, subscribe for $1, get early access to the show, and support us, support your boys. But otherwise, welcome. We hope you enjoy your time here. Cog, I want to get into, before any games, what's the grade? What was the feeling? The showcase ends, the Starfield gameplay fades out, and you're like, was that good? Was that bad? In the middle?
That's a good question.
What was the feel?
All right, so the feel, we're just doing grade right now.
Just grade, yeah.
Prior to 3 announcements, it was staying in a strong 6 energy lane for me. Mm-hmm. Then there were a couple announcements that definitely hit me personally, and I know we're going to get into each individual one. But at the end, objectively, I gave it a 7. I felt like there were a lot of peaks and valleys. And
yes, there were.
Yeah, and there was a part where I'm like, man, if they don't get this together soon.
Yeah, I know what stretch you're talking about.
Yeah, there was a stretch, and I felt bad for them. I'm like, and we'll get into, because obviously with the Defining Duke, Xbox 2. And all I want to say is this, because I got to give myself a little bit.
Let's do it.
I told people, I said, look, they're coming off of losing 2 AAA first-party games. And I don't know how you realistically fit that in with what you have to work with. And I felt certain parts of the show was indicative of that as far as 2022 is concerned. We're going to get into expectation that was set by Sarah Barr, which I thought was very interesting when she came out with the, hey, what you're about to see is for the next 12 months. We're going to get into that. But overall, like I said, there were some peaks. Some peaks for me as well. Some very special peaks for me.
Yes.
But it was Maddie. There was a part where I'm like, man, they got to get this together. I'm dying out here, and that's where I was at. That's why I ended up at the 7. But where are you at, man? Now that you've got a couple of minutes to process,
Yeah, coming off of it, I never felt so conflicted with the showcase. I immediately was like, I don't know if I like that. But what happened, I think, is the heavy hitters were strong, really strong. And the last 4 announcements and reveals, I think, brought this show up a notch. If we're looking at everything before that, it was a really kind of underwhelming showcase. That middle stretch with a certain number of games that displeased me greatly. But there were some answers I was looking for. Of course, the Japanese games were there. We'll talk about that. To me, it was also day one Game Pass single player games. We'll specify those, but I was really pleased to see that. There are some heavy hitting, good looking games that are single player, not co-op, that are coming day one to Game Pass. Some of them very big names, and I was really pleased by that. So, as you said perfectly, peaks and valleys to the showcase. Like, there were some high highs. I thought it started off pretty good pace. I was like, oh, they're really just rapid fire, gameplay trailer. One of those games wasn't crazy about, but like overall, the cadence that was set, I was like, okay. Then we hit Death Valley, man. We hit Death Valley. And there was a certain stretch where I was just like you. I was like, man, this could be an all-time L for them. Like, just with how this year's shaping up, I was starting to get that vibe. I was feeling down. And then towards the last third, it started to pick up. So enough dancing around. We got our grades out there, our overall vibe. We both thought it was okay.
What was your grade?
In a way, though, I thought it was better than last year because I think the heavy hitters really delivered. Where last year, I think, was more consistently good. This was like when things hit, like I had out of my seat moments, which I didn't have.
Yes.
Okay. Let's start off with game number 1, okay?
I didn't get your score, though. I didn't get your score.
Oh, I did a letter grade. I said like a B-.
Oh. Okay, gotcha.
C plus B-, that would fall in the, if we were going to use the letter grades, the numbers, like 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. All right, we're in the same pocket.
So yeah, you and I are in the same pocket. Sorry, I forgot about that. I'm so excited to talk about the games.
Let's go.
I think about like where you and I started, just real quick. Like, you and I started working together like right after everything happened, right? So like now we've built up to this, and this is our first time doing a showcase coverage together. So I'm really excited to do this with you.
Me too, man.
Redfall, game number 1. They opened the show with Redfall. I was not expecting this, but I just want to get my 2 cents out of the way. This was the one.
No, please. This is you. The Bethesda. I defer to Duke Bethesda on anything Bethesda and Arcane. I need to hear it first. Go ahead.
This was the one I didn't like. Out of the opening bunch. Yeah, this was the one I saw, and I was like, this doesn't look like an Arcane game. This looks kind of generic. This really doesn't look that fun. It looks like just Far Cry. I just got a lot of Far Cry energy. The character classes look fun, but what I was looking for, I think Arcane, maybe I'm a little biased, I can admit that, but like, I love when they do exploration, and I like when they do stealth. And the stealth gameplay they showed was seemingly like a backseat thing. Like, you walk in, just like Far Cry, you pick off who you can from the outskirts till you get in the middle, you inevitably get caught, and it's guns blazing. And that rhythm is fun for a particular group of people. I think this will do well for Xbox player base wise. I think open world co-op looks fun enough. But just as a game from Arcane, and especially to start off the show, I'm like, wait, this is exclusive to Series X. Like, to me, it just, as a showpiece, did not display well. And I got worried for Starfield off the rip because I went, this doesn't look like a next-gen only title to me.
Okay.
This real, again, Far Cry vibes. And I know a lot of people like Far Cry, so I know that's just not my cup of tea. But like, that's what I was feeling, like graphically, gameplay style. It just did not resonate. But you seem surprised, so I want to dish it to you, have this conversation. How did you feel about the opener with Redfall?
Yeah, this is our first disagreement. I'm surprised by this.
Okay, all right. I know Rand liked it too, so.
I didn't know what to expect for Redfall. I'm going to be honest with you, Maddie. Like, my expectations were very low for Redfall. When they showed the initial CGI trailer before this showcase, I was like, I really don't know what this is. I get it. It's 4-player co-op. And to me, when I watched this, I was invigorated. I was kind of like, okay.
Nice.
Now you're giving me Left 4 Dead with personality and a story and a certain vibe to it. I get where you're going with the stealth part, but I just thought it had a lot of pizzazz. And I don't know. I like the part where they go in. It was parts where they're exploring the house and it's the blood trail wall thing and going through.
Yeah, that type of stuff was my jam. I should specify that. Yeah, that was nice.
I like that. Then they go up the thing, and then I guess maybe it was because it felt like True Blood the game. Like, it was like, there were no vampires going on. Now, I will say, animations on the vampire fighting probably could have been a little bit. I want to see the animations do a little bit more dynamic stuff with the actual vampires themselves. I give you that. But I really liked it, man. Then they went outside.
No, I was gonna say you kind of won me over a little bit with your Left 4 Dead comparison, because I'm bringing up the gameplay for each game we talk about as we go along here, and like looking at it with that lens, I'm like, okay, like I could see that being more fun. It didn't look unfun. I should make that clear. I get what you're saying though, how this spoke to you.
Yeah, it just did. I don't know what it was. It just had a little charm to it that I like. And then they started doing the abilities. I think it was a telekinesis type power that I saw from one of the chicks that looked really cool. And then I'm seeing some synergies there. Then I saw some couple of skill tree things. And I'm like, okay, there's some depth here. So again, like, I came in with low expectation. Now I'm like, yo, Redfall, you got my attention. I may be it. Like, to me, it was like what I thought Back 4 Blood was gonna be, and just like, but better, and it just felt like with RPG mechanics,
filling a gap that you had.
Yeah, so it was just that happy medium. It was not just this bare bone 4-player cooperative shooter, and also some more depth there. And I think it was it Massachusetts, I believe, was the backdrop, I believe. Yeah, and I don't know, I was feeling so. Yeah, man, we might be on the other side of Redfall, so I think I'm a little bit more excited than you are.
Yeah, definitely. Because even looking at it now, I'm just like, there's something about it. I'm just like, something's giving me the creeps on this. But, it doesn't look awful. It just doesn't look, it doesn't light my fire.
It didn't look like super wowing, next gen wowing for Maddie.
Yes, no, definitely not.
Fair enough.
Again, that kind of was like the uneasy precedence. I was like, oh my God, like this is the next gen defining game. What's Starfield going to look like? I was like, so yeah, there was definitely like a lingering repercussion to that for sure.
Fair enough.
Next game, this was huge. Finally, we lay eyes on Hollow Knight Silksong coming day 1 to Game Pass. Now, this did leak ahead of the showcase. Someone named the Snitch on Twitter was spoiling a select number of things for showcases. They weren't going crazy with it, but this was one that they said Silksong would be day 1, and it ends up being true. This is a game that a lot of people have been looking for that re-reveal. It's a number of directs. Come on, Silksong, the Nintendo indies. Nothing. Finally, it shows up at an Xbox showcase day 1, one of the most popular indie games released. I've never played the first one. Have you?
I actually played a little bit of it. I got to cover it when I believe it was Nintendo Switch. And I remember the vibe. And I'm just like, man, this is a really cool game. It's not, these games are generally not for me per se. Okay. But I will say, like, it's a really beautiful game, and the challenge, you know what I'm saying? I remember seeing Addict and Solve go absolutely crazy while we were watching that live. And this is a good get. This is huge really get. A huge get. And I know a lot of people, like, I know, indies are not, right now, a lot of people are very, not anti-indie, but don't want to see as much indies, and we'll get into that discussion. But like, this is one of them ones, and this is going to do well for them. So I thought it was a fantastic get. I thought it showed well.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think it looked pixel perfect. Like the movement, the traversal, the combat, the bouncing off of enemies, the parrying, the dodging. This game looks excellent. So this to me was the first like, oh, okay, like this is really exciting. Especially because I know the anticipation. It's one of those things where you got to look at it from two fronts as we do as commentators. It's like, does this work for me? And then what does this say to the audience? And while I've only played, now that I think about it, I played like a couple hours of Hollow Knight. I really liked what I played about. I just never finished it. But I know the anticipation for this. This was a huge get for them, for sure.
Huge.
And given its length of time in development, maybe it hit a snag and Xbox said, hey, the Game Pass money, it's coming day 1. Yeah. But big indie deal. Big indie deal. Probably the biggest one they got.
Yes.
Next, Cog.
Let's get it.
I love this one, man. Coming out October. Console exclusive. High on Life. What did you feel about this one?
It has so much personality to it. Like this. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. This is the one where was it like the Rick and Morty type joint? Was this that one?
Yes.
And it had the guns that was talking and the faces. And at first I was like, this is goofy, but I like it. I was like, again, personality, charm. Then I like my little Outer Worlds color palette, you know, as far as the background, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, it won me over. I usually come in hating those type of games, I ain't gonna lie. But I was just like, yo, I might rock with this. This kind of look fun, yo. I ain't gonna front. So yeah, I did like that. Higher Life looks really good. It won me over.
Yeah, great console exclusive get. Frame rate was a little less than I would like it to be in a trailer. That is something that does concern me. But, you know, this game reminds me, shout out to all my Oddworld fans. For those of you who have not played Oddworld Stranger's Wrath, this is an amazing video game with a surprisingly emotional story. And in that game, you have like a crossbow. You're playing as the stranger. And loading on the crossbow, kind of like High on Life, are these creatures that are animated. So you could play in third or first person. When you're in first person, like you could have fuzzles, and they're these kind of hairy, furry creatures with sharp teeth, but they're kind of cute. And you see them looking around while you're walking around in first person. And like when you shoot them out, they attack the enemy and like gnaw on them and stuff. Just as an example, you can shoot like slugs. You can, your version of a machine gun is like shooting bees, and you see the bees flying around your gun when you're walking around. A lot of personality in the weaponry. I've never seen a game do it, but this one's doing it. And I saw it. I was like, this looks amazing. Like I was so excited by this one. Absolutely one of my favorite games of the show. It looked crazy. It looked fun. It looked like it had personality, as you said. Yes. I liked how there was traversal where you could like shoot this kind of goo gun and pull yourself places like a grapple shot. You know, it doesn't look like the cleanest, funnest first-person shooter, which I know matters to a lot of people. Because I think it's something like the Outer Worlds. I don't care that it's not a great first-person shooter. Other things matter. But for other people, these type of things matter. So it does look a little clunky. But, I mean, it looked like this almost weird Rick and Morty bounty hunter game. And I was like, this looks fun. I like this a lot.
Yeah, they got something there. They got a lane, and it's unique. And it just feels new and fresh. And I love that type of stuff. So, definitely got to give it a shot. It looked cool.
Yeah, so that's October again. So I was, the early going here, this is right before Sarah Bond shows up. So that's the 1, 2, 3 punch to start the show. Yeah. Redfall, Hollow Knight, High on Life. How are you feeling this far?
I'm feeling good. I'm like, man, they're setting the tone. And then what I liked was just gameplay. We didn't even see a face yet. We didn't even see a personality yet until Sarah Bond coming up soon. Yeah. So I thought they started off strong for me.
Yeah, especially no personality was surprising when you think about it. When you look at the list of 3 things, you're like, that's not a big deal. But Redfall was a good like 5 minutes, 8 minutes almost in that range. High on Life was like 2 minutes. Silksong was another 2 minutes. Like that's pretty long in a showcase to not open up with a face and say, we at Xbox are excited about game. None of that. It was just very much games right off the bat.
Absolutely.
But then when the execs do show up, it's Sarah Bond. And they talk about a new partnership. And I thought this was maybe not the most exciting for some, but a wise strategic move and fascinating because it shows how multifaceted, like the multi-tool really, that Xbox Game Pass is and the deals that they can wiggle. Anytime we talk about Game Pass, it's always who can they acquire? What games can they get? But now we're starting to learn, kind of like we saw with PS Plus, where they did like, hey, here's the Ubisoft classics for PlayStation Plus. A specially tailored deal between Xbox Game Pass and Riot Games. And what's happening is League of Legends, Wild Rift, Runeterra, Valorant, and other Riot games are coming to Game Pass. And what's interesting is all the champions for League of Legends, Wild Rift, Valorant, and Runeterra, as well as Teamfight Tactics, are all unlocked. And this is huge because I play a lot of League of Legends, man.
I was thinking about you the whole this part. Break it down. Sorry. Continue.
Right. No, it's okay. I play a lot of League, and I'm like, I know for some people watching this isn't like a gangbusters announcement, but this is huge. Having every champ in a game that is fully monetized, that is nickel and diming you. I refuse to give Riot any of my money. When I saw this, I was like, oh, shit. I was like, all the champs? All of them? Dude, I've been running the free rotation and the minor amount of champs I've bought for years. To know I'm going to have them all now. Again, is it a sexy announcement? Probably not. But it is. This will get them hundreds of thousands of subscribers to know you don't got to pay and it's just like right there. And then you get into that and you're like, oh, look at everything else that's here. This is huge to me. But what was the read for you who hasn't really played many of their games?
I haven't played many games, right? But I know the scope. I hear it all the time. You hear about League, through you, obviously, Valorant, all this stuff. And I'm hearing it. And to myself, I'm like, selfishly, Cog, it doesn't do anything for me personally. But on a scope level, I'm like, this is huge for PC Game Pass. Like, you're going to get so many people because those communities are like massive, like really massive. So I try to think of it in like my looter shooter vibe kind of thing. If you had the biggest looter shooters or the biggest MMOs and then you put them into this service, that is tremendous. Yes. So that deal, I was like, I agree. I was like, that deal is probably going to go under the rug a lot for console gamers because they're going to say, okay, yeah, that's cute, but I don't see an Xbox version of that. Yes. And I get that. And that's fair.
100%.
But to a PC Game Pass and giving value to the ultimate tier, that is insane value. So I'm with you. I think that move will pay dividends for sure.
100%. No price increase yet, which again, you got to think this is adding on to Ultimate. And I like to see it was a savvy move for Game Pass on PC, not just, console has always been the strongest beneficiary on Game Pass. We've seen that time in, time out. I think they're starting to even the scales out. But to me, this is a move that said they had PC Game Pass in mind. They wanted to push that specifically. And how do you do that? You target some of the most popular PC games. So I really liked what I saw there. And I hope for console users, what they look into maybe is some of the League of Legends spin-off games that they've done. Like Ruined King is apparently a great turn-based RPG. And I would love to see that come to Xbox Game Pass. So to me, that would be pretty significant moving forward. I think this is a partnership we monitor and we don't sweep under the rug. And it's one that I believe we'll talk about a lot because to me, moving forward, we can look at different companies and deals Xbox can strike and how they can maneuver. It doesn't always have to be, here's deal, buy you, we get game. That's it. It's more than that now. It's not just the simple deals about games. It's about tiers offering, in this case, for free-to-play games, like all the champs and how they could expand that. So it's another way to look at things. Of course, we've seen like partnerships with other media deals. Like, for example, Paramount Plus, right?
Yeah.
Halo show drops. Here's a month free of Paramount Plus. Makes sense. But otherwise, now we're seeing just how flexible this service is and what it can do. And to me, that's exciting.
Absolutely.
Keeping that up with some pretty good stuff, I'd say. Again, the start was pretty good. Let's talk about A Plague Tale Requiem. Day one Game Pass, as we learned last year. It was just an announcement trailer, though. This time we saw gameplay. No release date yet, coming out 2022. What is the feeling for COG? I saw the hand rub. How are we feeling about Plague Tale Requiem?
That looked absolutely amazing to me. I really, really love the way they showed out. I mean, the jump. I mean, just to see, again, it had that hashtag Just One Energy narrative, experience. You seeing them utilize the rats and stuff like that in creative ways. Yeah. I like the stealth mechanic aspect. I thought graphically it showed well. I love the dynamic again, with the hand holding of the girl, stuff like that, just showing that same element that they have from part one. But I just thought they really took it to the next level. I was impressed with this. I was very impressed with this. And I was like, this is a nice get for Game Pass. And I know we knew about it already, but to me, the way they showed it, they were even more confident in it. And I can't remember the release date. What was the release? Was it October?
Just 2022, right?
So it just said 20. So they didn't say, it just said the year. Yeah. But I thought this looked really well. I was very impressed.
One of the games of the show for me. The first one, Plague Tale Innocence, was really good. And if you go to their YouTube channel, because I looked at the end card, it still says A Plague Tale Requiem, but the name they're giving it on the YouTube trailer is a Plague Tale Requiem End of Innocence. And I think that's really important to know because I'm not going to spoil the first game for those who haven't played it. You really should go check it out. It's excellent. It's a nice, tight 10-hour experience tops, and it really delivers. But in that game, you're not really killing people. Like, you're manipulating your environment to take out obstacles, and some people will die in the process, but you're not actively doing that type of stuff. In this game, she's stabbing, she's shooting, she's setting them ablaze. She's like, look, they can die just like anyone else. Like, she has ended her innocence and is taking a step forward as someone like way more aggressive. And, this game, the first one, I should say, was gross. It was really sad. And again, just highly underrated, where I hope this one puts it ends up on a lot of people's radar because it deserves that attention. So this was another strong showing and another day one Game Pass single player title. So really good so far, in my opinion.
I agree. Again, I'm feeling good at this point still.
Let me see if there's anything else we want to say with Plague Tale. I don't think there's anything else to add. What did you think of the mechanics? I thought the first one was a little linear, which is understandable. Yes. It's a focus home game. It's by Asobo, who also developed Microsoft Flight Simulator, which we'll talk about soon. But it was a little linear. This one kind of looked still linear. There were certain just one moments where it looked a little more open when she was exploring. But in the terms of gameplay, she was crawling under a table, going through the flower beds. Did you think it looked open enough for what a COG just one title needs?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, you know me, I'm not, everything has to be super open. I'm glad you reminded me of that scene. Like when she goes into the cabin and then like, there was a stealth mechanic aspect. Like she slid under the table to hide from that person. I love that kind of stuff. So even if it's kind of hub world or it's kind of not, more linear, I don't have a problem with it because that's those few times where I'm like, I'll sacrifice, that openness for the graphic of Deli because it looks so good to me. Like I thought it really looked good. So I was okay with it. Was it a situation for you where you were like, hey, I'm a little concerned that it may be linear and that like, they haven't done a big enough jump for you? Is it one of those types of
No, actually, because the gameplay systems looked more diverse, which is great because they already had a great framework there of how you manipulate light and the rats. And I'm like, that's unique enough. So anything on top of that is like purely additive to me. So the stuff like the stabbing, the throwing of like what seemed to be fire grenades of some kind, it's all additive. I was just a little worried about how narrow some of the environments ended up looking when the action began. Because it's a beautiful looking game. They're clearly trying to do what I think Focus Home has done really well in the past, which is bridging that gap between AA and AAA. And it always comes at a cost. And I'm thinking the cost here, which won't matter to a lot of people, and I think if it's done well, it won't matter to me, is the openness of the environment. The reason the openness matters is this is a stealthy type of game. You're not going to be running, shooting, jumping, and hitting people over the head with shit. Like you're going to be creeping up behind them, using the environment, causing some trickery, placing traps. And I think for that to flex its muscles, it's got to be a little more open. So we'll see how that goes, but it looks great. Defining Duke is brought to you by Indeed. If you don't know what Indeed is, just know that by the time we're done talking about it, 16 hires will have been made on Indeed, according to the data available worldwide. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. And that's why as a small business owner, I find Indeed mighty attractive as an option. With Instant Match, over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job, according to Indeed data. One of the things I do love about Indeed is it just makes hiring all in one place so easy. It takes 10 minutes or less for most SMB employers to post a job, and Indeed does that hard work for you. So it takes a lot of the, annoyance out of everything. So start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Duke. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/Duke. Indeed.com/Duke. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Here's where I want to know if you started to feel the nosedive set in. I think I might have had, just based off the chat's reaction, because it was all natural, one of the all-time reactions to this stretch. And it was just fucking unbelievable. I've never felt more personally attacked by a stretch of announcements and reveals. It was something else.
Let's get it.
All right. Forza Motorsport shows up. Spring 2023. Pretty extensive look at this one. Cog, what's the feel?
I've been very hard on this. As far as the announcement of us knowing it's going to be there and how I feel. So, look, I'm going to be respectful for once. I'm actually going to say it showed very well. I thought it looked phenomenal.
Leave me out to dry here. Oh no,
I'm not going to leave you out to dry yet. I got you. Let me just give them their flowers because the LSM community came at me. They were like, "Cog, I've been waiting for this, and you don't even want to see it. And you're so disrespectful." Look, y'all know where I stand. I'm not going to repeat it with versus Motorsport versus Horizon, but it looked good. They had their moment with the water, the autumn trees. They shift over. I'll give them ray tracing in game. Where because over on I think Gran Turismo has ray tracing. Other games have ray tracing like in the little model modes. They had it in the game. The dynamic it looked great. Me, I know I'm not playing it. I don't care. But I will say the game showed. But I was surprised. To me, the bigger story, Maddie, this is not coming out this year.
Yeah, what the hell? That was the biggest surprise to me. I saw it online. I was like, I don't know if I buy that. Like, this seemed to be a complete lock for 2023. And given how much they showed, you know how you talked about earlier with you could feel like the emptiness of 2022 hurt this show. And I feel like for a lot of these games that they showed, that it was just like clearly it was closer to ready since they showed extensive gameplay of it. But it feels like another situation where they probably just said, we're kind of shot this year. Why rush this out? Let's just punt it to 2023. And I think that happened with a lot of these games because this is one that seemed like a sure bet. Like, yeah, Forza Motorsport 2022. Let's get our Forza game out. The hype is high for Horizon 5, which we'll talk about shortly. I was really caught off guard by this release window.
Yeah, bro, it surprised me, and that's where I empathize with the Forza. Now, selfishly, Cog is like, take as much time as you want. Selfishly, I'm like, whatever. But when you look at first party releases, you're like, damn, they ain't even got Forza ready for 2022. Man, that's when the wheel started to turn for me, right at this point. Because clearly I don't care about motorsport, but all I thought about was like, whoa, that is substantial. And then we'll get into as it goes on. But yeah, this was an interesting point of this show for me. Move from this point and then moving forward. There's a lot more to talk about.
Yeah, because I think I will talk more about Forza Motorsport, but I think to talk about it, it's just the collective experience of, I think it was like 7 things in a row and how it starts with this. It gets its extended look. After this, they moved to Microsoft Flight Simulator for its 40th anniversary. They're celebrating that November 2022. They revealed that a Halo Pelican is coming to the game today, which was really dope, by the way. I like to see that. But Microsoft Flight Simulator 40th anniversary, any thoughts on this? You've played it. I haven't.
Look, it looks good. I'm going to be honest. I was surprised to see it, and I was surprised to see them showcase it. It was one of the moments like, oh, okay, cool. You're doing something with, flight sim. Great. You had the helicopters. Okay, cool. I thought obviously the moment was the Pelican and Halo, and you know what I'm saying? You fly a Pelican. I was like, but do we go to outer space? Or like, what are we really doing with it? So again, nothing I really care super deeply about. I was just like, okay, cool. And that was my cadence again with like how motorsports. I'm like, all right, cool. You hear more content for you. Great. We know it's doing well for them. Great. But let's get to stuff that Cog want to see, more hardcore. So that's where I was at with it.
Yeah. Much of the same. It was I was very surprised to see this at the show. I mean, it really highlights one of the big omissions that I think we should talk about in the midst of this is a lot of Forza, an update for Flight Simulator. No Halo. None at all.
Oh, no Halo.
Yeah, and we called this one. We said we felt this was not going to be there. I think when Rand called the prediction, we agreed with him. Mm-hmm. I don't think Halo was going to be there, and it wasn't, but the others showed out. So what does this say to you about the status of content within 343 that, it's interesting because at the end of the showcase, when they did their like, here's our calendar, right? Mm-hmm. Of everything that's coming, they had Halo as a thing for Game Pass, right? Mm-hmm. Like they had season 3 for Halo. They didn't show it. And they had that for a number of things. Like they had 2023 and it said Dead Space. And I went, wait, is that coming to Game Pass? Did I miss something here? It's not, but it was just there. So I'm keen to find out why some of those games were in the imaging, but not in the showcase. Unlike last year, where everything that you saw in the imaging was in the showcase. So yeah, I was just not surprised to see Halo there, but it was just a sad reality. You're like, oh, okay, it's really down that bad.
And again, not to beat a dead horse, it just justifies what the Dukes have been saying. Like the content is still not ready. There was no Project Tatanka, right? There was no battle. Like they need more time. And it just goes to show me if you still need that much time that you, even at your biggest showcase, can't show any content for Halo Infinite. To me, that's an indictment on how hard it's been for them to create. and it's kind of anemic in a live service game. Just got to be honest. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I was. It's not until we talk about it hits. We predicted this, but when you look at it and when you take a step back, it does look bad to me that it's. And remember, they said everything we see here is for the next 12 months.
Yep,
bro.
Yeah,
you not ready with nothing.
Yep.
Damn. Okay.
Right. Exactly. You look at the words of the execs and then what's shown, you're like, what happened here?
Yeah.
But there's another service title that did make an appearance in a major shift. Overwatch 2, we saw a little bit of Activision this showcase. I think you were on the money with that. I wasn't expecting much Activision, but you were saying they're going to show up. They did with 2 titles. The first one being Overwatch 2. It's launching in early access October 4th. Now, the major change is it'll be free to play. This will be arriving on PC, series consoles, Xbox One, PS5, PS4, and Switch. How do you feel about this one? To me, it felt like one of those announcements, and we saw a couple of them this show. This was the stretch where we did where I knew about this. You're just reminding me it exists. This could have trimmed the fat of the showcase and I think helped it out a lot.
I mean, it's a good get regardless. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, the free to play model is going to do well. It's on Xbox. Okay, fine. It was one of those things, like you said, it's like we knew about it already. So maybe it didn't hit as hard as I felt it should have hit. There is another Activision Blizzard title that I felt did that job very well. And we'll get to that. But,
don't you worry.
We'll get to that. You know what I'm saying? But for Overwatch, I'll look happy to see it. We know it was coming. We know it's just, to me, it was okay. When is it day and date Game Pass, or now is it free to play? We found out it's free to play. It's going to be with everybody. Okay, let's go. When it's ready, it's ready, and then I'll play. But yeah, I wasn't too surprised by this one.
Yeah, they also revealed a new hero, Junker Queen.
Yes, and I like that sequence. Yeah, those 3. Was all those characters in the arena all new characters too with the Queen?
I actually don't know. Now that
I don't know their lore. So I was like, they talking to that guy with the crown on his head with the king thing. It looked like they were in some arena thing. I was like, are those all new characters? I don't know Overwatch enough to know, but I thought the designs looked pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't believe so. I think there's this map called Junkertown, I believe, that was like a free add-on. And I believe it was there because she's obviously tied to Junkrat. And I think the idea was like she was in that Thunderdome fighting against other people in Junkertown. I think that was kind of the vibe that they were creating there. And this was one of those rare exceptions I'll make for like the animated shorts. Normally it's like, oh, it's CG, I roll my eyes. But Overwatch has done this for every single hero reveal. So to me, it didn't take away from the show to see not her in action, even though you do see her in action in the trailer. But like, it wasn't after they revealed like, here's the hero and then showed her again. They kind of did a flip on it. I think they probably should have done the animated short first and then showed the game. But that's just me nitpicking at that point. Otherwise, though, that was Overwatch 2, which showed up pretty strongly at the showcase. So I still think we're kind of in the awkward stretch of the showcase right now. And next is a game that goes by the title of Project Indus that we talked about on the show here. It comes from Oxide. It was leaked by Jez Corden. Aura History Untold. Just CGI for this one. Why was it announced? I don't understand the memo on this. I have some thoughts, but I want to dish it to you. Do you have any thoughts on Aura History Untold?
I'm actually going to defer back because I'm trying to remember. It was so many games at this point.
Okay.
I remember the name. I'm trying to remember the visual style, what was going on.
I will give you the trailer because, the visual style was CG. This was PC Game Pass too, just no console yet.
Completely.
I just linked it to you if you want to check it out. Right, cool, but yeah, this is one that, again, was CG, kind of your similar Humankind, your similar Civilization.
Yes, I remember this. Yeah. The Civilization vibe joint. I was thinking Humankind. Yeah, I remember it now. Yeah, the Humankind Civilization joint. It was like, okay, I'm gonna be out like, and it sucks because obviously I like turn-based and stuff like that, but this is more RTS and okay, it just didn't. I'll be honest, it didn't move me in any particular way where I went crazy. I thought it was okay. I didn't get any super. That's why I probably didn't remember it because it didn't do anything.
Yeah,
spectacular.
The top comment on the video is, so this told me nothing, but I'm still interested. It's like that's exactly what it was. It felt kind of out of place. And in a showcase where clearly the mission was like show gameplay, because one thing we want to note is literally everything we've talked about so far had gameplay. This was really your first, looking at it now, this was your first look at CGI. If you really want to include Overwatch 2 with its animated short, then, yes, there was 2 CGs. But again, I make an exception for that. So this is the first CGI. It's an RTS. They had another RTS there, so it didn't seem like they needed to reveal this one. But they did announce to join the Insider program. So maybe they're doing something early access, some testing for that. And we can learn more about it over time. But I think this could have been a cool reveal as a Civilization competitor if they showed a nice 1 to 2 minute trailer for it.
Yeah. I didn't feel I learned anything from it, to be honest.
Exactly. And that's, that's the problem there is it's precisely that. You didn't learn anything, so why was it there?
Yeah.
Moving along in the death throes of the showcase. ESO High Isle releases next week, June 21st. I love ESO. But again, another announcement. You're like, why is this here? We know about this. They just had a whole event for High Isle, revealing it and everything. So you thought, like, I remember crossing out my list. I'm like, see you never. You're not at the showcase. It's there. ESO, I'm happy it keeps getting supported. One of my predictions was that ZeniMax would show up and say, like, hey, here's the next thing we're working on. They didn't. So I was disappointed by that, for sure. What was your read on ESO and seeing a new expansion for it?
Same deal. It's just like, look, I don't want to be disrespectful to ESO because that game has really transformed itself in one of the biggest communities, and it's thriving. I mean, it got every aspect of Cyrodiil going on in this thing, and it's dope. I get that, but I'm like you, Manny. It's like King, while we're watching this with the Lords, King is like, this could have been on Tuesday.
He's right. He's right.
Bro, he started. This is when we talk about where the show
they got
starts.
King talking against him. Oh, brother.
Bro, you don't want to know. You know what King is going in. I've never seen King he's not happy. And the thing is, he's like, this is that Tuesday energy. This is something you could have saved off the show. And I'm like,
I love him, bro. That's such a good
I love
term.
him. It was so good. I was like, yo, he kind of right. Like, this is the theme now. This is E3 like to us. This is our Super Bowl to us. And it's no disrespect to ESO, but we know about you.
Yeah, it's just not, it doesn't need to be there.
You don't need to be. You could have came out and dropped your joint. We need to either know about stuff we don't know about or the big games that we need to see more of. And that's why the groans were starting. Like, okay.
Oh, dude. They weren't starting for me. I was like, I literally thought I was being directly attacked with the sequence because this next back-to-back was something so severely...
Let's get it!
Something so fucked up that I literally thought someone at Xbox watched my content and went like, fuck this guy. We're doing this. So next, after High Isle, which I like ESO.
Yes.
Pete Hines goes, Fallout celebrating its 25th anniversary. I get up. I'm like, let's go, baby. 25th anniversary. We know how to celebrate that. Here we go. I knew they were going to show 76, right? Like, okay, show the new thing. We've seen a little bit of it. It's in the PTS. You can go fucking play this shit if you really want to. It's coming out this September. Fallout 76, The Pitt. And then it fades to black. We'll talk about 76 in a moment, but it fades to black, and I'm like, waiting for the Fallout 3 music to pick up and go like, oh. Forza Horizon 5 expansion fades in. I was like, I literally got up, and this is exactly what I did. I got up.
What you did? Yeah. He said, no, not like this. Not like this.
I thought I was going to die. I literally just took a knee, fell down, slapped the floor. I didn't care about the tenants below me. I was in my zone. I could not believe this. I was like, this is the back-to-back that they hit me with. So this is where it starts to feel weak, because the reality here is it's DLC, DLC, DLC. Not that anything in particular looks bad, 76 aside. Everything looks good. But let's start from the top. 76, the pitch shows itself. You know, did you have any thoughts or feelings on this one?
Bro, I'm with you. I felt every ounce of your pain. because Pete set us up, bro. He tricked us because he's like, the history of Fallout. And I'm like, oh, man. I literally yelled your name on the ILP street. I was like, man, you about to get it? I said, here it come, baby. Let's go. And then 76 come out, and I'm like, all right, you got to do that. We get it.
Yeah, exactly. I was totally understanding.
Okay, get it out the way. Now, here it come. And then I seen Forza come on. And I like Hot Wheels and all that, but I'm like, wait, you not doing anything else with Fallout? That was it? And then it was like, yeah, we're going to talk to you later about, other stuff. And I'm like, oh, not like this. Not like this. You know what I'm saying? I thought for sure you were going to get that thing, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like a remaster. So.
Here's the thing I'm going to hold out for.
Okay, let's go.
This is the 25th anniversary of Fallout this year. Yeah. Okay? Skyrim's 10th anniversary and the announcement of Anniversary Edition was August 19th. Okay? And it came out on 11/11 again. So I will say this, and I'm not saying this to excuse them. There is room. There is room for something to happen here. I will not trick myself into saying it's definitely going to happen.
Right.
But again, it would really stun me because here's the thing, the Great War in Fallout, the most famous date in the Fallout franchise, October 23rd. This fucking expansion comes out in September. There has to be more. You cannot celebrate the 25th anniversary of your most beloved franchise with just the Pit. Get the fuck out of here. There's no way. I refuse to believe they are that clueless. I refuse to believe it. I cannot accept that. But anyway, that aside, the Pit artistically looks solid. I'm going to say that. Solid show. Apparently, it's just a lot of missions.
Yeah.
It's not as open and as explorable as people wanted. I will play test it in September. I'll give it a shake as I do with every 76 thing and see how it goes. Forza Horizon 5, though, gets its expansion July 19th. Hot Wheels. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they do a Hot Wheels partnership with the last Motorsport or not Motorsport Horizon?
Yeah.
They did. Okay, so this is kind of a repeat thing.
Yeah, it's a repeat, but it is one of their biggest things. It
looks awesome.
It looks awesome. It sells like gangbusters. It's only right that they went back to the wilderness. I'm not even mad because part of me, I was like, yo, that looks really fun. It looks really cool. Mm-hmm. I just didn't like the timing of it. Before you after your Fallout, so I felt bad for you because it goes with the thing you're the most excited for to the thing you are the least excited for instantly back to back. So I'm like, oh, they killing my boy. My boy about to have a conniption. It's over. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so I felt that. So they just sorry for us.
You caught them.
Yeah. Forza, you had to be clipped. Yeah, because Forza caught a bullet from you. But if I take it out of it, the timing of it, I did thought it showed well. The tracks, the color, the upside down, the whole Hot Wheels vibe. That's going to do phenomenal for them. And it's coming out soon. I think like July or something like that. So
yeah, July 19th.
We knew Forza was getting content.
Yeah, we do. It leaked ahead of the showcase. They had the Steam page. So it made sense it was coming. I'm a little surprised that they teamed up with Hot Wheels just because Hot Wheels launched a video game that was pretty well received called Hot Wheels Unleashed late last year. I think it was September it came out. So I was quite surprised to see that they were like, let's take this bigger racing game and do a partnership with them. I guess it's brand exposure, but people are just going to go get the Hot Wheels stuff in Forza, not the Hot Wheels video game, which is also competent. So interesting decision on their part, but I'm sure all exposure is good exposure for Hot Wheels.
Oh, yeah. That bag must have been nice.
Oh, yes. All right. Now, here's where I think is the conclusion of the filler arc, as I'd like to call it, right? Like, this is where we see Arc 2. CGI again. It was revealed last year and it was CGI. Coming 2023, console exclusive as we already knew. Kind of gives me that energy of Aura History Untold. I'm like, I don't know what to say. I don't know anything about it.
It's Arc, rest in peace, my former CEO of Lords of Gaming that Dizzy. He is such an Arc fan, boy. Oh my God, he was going crazy. So I remember when Arc first announced when he was still with us, and he was just going crazy. I'm like, oh, they got, you know what I'm saying? What's your man from Riddick? I forget his name now. What's his name? The actor, the famous actor, Fast and Furious, the guy that's in Arc 2. I forgot. Is it Vin Diesel?
Vin Diesel, yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to Vin. You know what I'm saying? Look, I didn't learn anything about it. I just felt like you said, like, first time we saw it with CGI, The second time we see the CGI, what are you doing? What is it? So look, it's probably going to do well. Arc does phenomenal for them. I just don't care. I'm not an art guy until you show me more specifics. I'm like, okay, it's just bigger and better arc. So yeah, I'm still in the doldrums yet. I'm not out.
Mm-hmm.
I know. You said you were coming out. I'm still in the doldrum. This is the part of the show is still sliding for me. But
no, I'm in the death throes too. Like,
yeah,
Arc
I'm still like you're not waking me up yet.
I remember my exact words when I saw Arc 2 was, because this is, again, to recap for people, this arc of the filler or disappointment begins for me and Cog with Forza Motorsport, then Flight Simulator 40th anniversary trailer, Overwatch 2 free-to-play announcement, Aura History Untold, ESO High Isle, 76 The Pit, Horizon 5 expansion, and then Arc 2 CGI. When I saw Arc 2 CGI, I remember specifically going on stream, like, what the fuck are they doing, man? Like, I couldn't wrap my head around why some of these things made the cut. Arc clearly wasn't ready. Don't show it.
Yeah.
Indus clearly wasn't ready. 76 didn't need to be there. High Isle didn't need to be there. Overwatch, I can understand. Flight Simulator, no, didn't need to be there.
I agree.
They removed these out.
Tuesday. Yeah.
It's an addition by subtraction. It's exactly Tuesday energy. These were announcements that you see on the extended showcase. And it's weird because with all the day one Game Pass and exclusive announcements that occurred during Jeff Keighley's show, it felt like Xbox had more to show. And maybe what they were trying to do here was like, here's our first party, right? Because all of these are first party or going to be first party in some way, shape, or form. Many of them, I should say, in this stretch. And maybe that's the focus is like, let the third party go on the bigger platform. Let's focus on us on our own. Something we did ask them to do, but has it come at a cost? Was there a consequence for these demands is the question. But I just don't understand the vision at this stretch of like, DLC, expansion, anniversary trailers. Like, we're here to see video games, new video games, not just updates to things we know about. And it's where they started to look weak for this year, for sure.
Well said. That's literally how I felt. 100%.
Now, here's where they started to wake me up a little bit. I think this is where the last third of the show, there are still some duds in here, but I think there was a lot that was worth being interested or excited about. Scorn. We kind of had a feeling this was going to be there. The developers, I think Ebb Software is their team name, has been teasing like a madman with the eye emojis like, oh, we might be there. We might be there. Of course they're going to be there. They kind of spoiled the surprise blatantly. October 21st, this game comes out. What is the feeling on Scorn right now? It's coming out at a perfect time, right? October, spooky season. Did you like what you saw of this game's re-reveal? It got almost a year delay, by the way.
Yeah, again, I'm still in the doldrums, Manny. I'm still like, look.
Okay, you're still down.
I'm still going through the motions because I'm like, look, we still don't really know what this game is. It's just the most uncomfortable phallic looking game with things inserting into things, and come on, it's a very uncomfortable game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so I'm like, okay, well, what's the story? Like, what are we doing? And I like the style of it. I mean, I don't mind it. All I got was, it's coming this year. But if you're gonna put a gun in my hand and say, what is Scorn? What are you really doing? What is it about? I can't tell you. So I don't feel like I learned anything. And I think it was, again, one of those things that they could have got a better slice. I don't know. It's just something about it didn't tell me anything.
Yeah. I don't think it looked bad.
Yeah, I was saying it looked bad.
But I'm with you on the what is this, right? It's very grotesque. The detail in the environments, the animations are really good. But you know what this game gives me, and I think I said this as well, it gives me medium energy. When I looked at the medium, it was very much like, what is this? Like, where's the gameplay? And this game had a 10-minute demo. It got delayed for a year. It just showed itself for a minute 20. And in that stretch, there was like no gameplay of any kind. It was just looking around, pulling shit, inserting shit. And that was really it. And you're right. It's a very phallic game. A lot of penis energy in this.
Yeah, a lot of penis.
Yeah. I'm just like, okay, like, I don't know what this is, but clearly there's not going to be like, I've just learned that if they had the opportunity to show something cool, it's not like they're tucking it in their suit jacket going like, hold on to this one. This is their chance to show what this was. And they didn't. So I'm kind of with you on like, I'm still down, but at least it was new. And I was like, oh, I remember this. Like, what's this? Oh, I like it's coming out in October. Okay. But yeah, looking at it again as we talk, yeah, it definitely looks very, empty, lifeless in its gameplay.
I agree.
I want to know if this one woke you up, because this may be a disagreement in the making. Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn gameplay reveal, about a 2-minute trailer. It's this open world kind of medieval RPG. You're fighting undead. You're using magic. There's boss fights, midair dodging. Looks like there's some flying you can do in the open world. There's some God of War energy even in this. Again, day one Game Pass coming early 2023. Cog, did this wake you up from your nap?
I was waking up. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm talking about. I said, okay, let's go. I want more of the. It was hashtag just one energy. She had the little pet thing. They had this weird synergy where they're flying, they're dodging, they're doing the thing, they're raising undead. Then I see some stealth and kind of planning and plotting on how you're going to approach certain things. I thought the weapons looked cool. I wasn't saying it wasn't more stunning than graphically than Plague, but I still thought they looked good. And I was like, this looks solid. I like that they're associating themselves with a game like this. And I was like, okay, I literally say, yo, this is what I'm talking. I want to see more of this. Come on, let's go. I'm like, come on, Xbox. I'm literally yelling like, come on, Xbox. This is what I want to see. So
yeah, I actually found myself kind of like rooting for them.
I was like rooting them on. I'm like, wake up. Let's go. But yeah, where are you at with Flintlock?
I thought this game looked excellent. This was kind of the true wake-up moment. I think Scorn picked me up a little bit because it was just actually, again, when you look at the stretch, it was just something gameplay-oriented, something new that I had forgot about. So that caught me. It woke me up a little bit. But really what got me excited, if you want to talk about where the excitement returned, Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn. I thought this game looked great. It was a little jagged. There's one point where she's like sliding down a hill and she's like floating almost. I went, yo, this looks like just crazy and fun. Like, I don't know what's happening here. And it's one of the rare moments where I didn't care about the world of the story. I'm just like, yo, this looks really fun. She jumps off a cliff, ground pound, hits a ton of enemies. There's good audio feedback, the way they recoil, the damage done. Really, really awesome showing for this one. When it was announced, because they said this months ago, they're like, yeah, we're going to bring this day one to Game Pass. I thought to myself, like, okay, like an open world single player game in Game Pass day one. Certainly it can't be great, but it looks awesome. Like there's even a point where when she does backflips, she has a flintlock gun and she'll jump in the air and shoot it and the recoil flips her over. Awesome stuff. So this was definitely one of my favorite surprises from the show. One that I wasn't crazy on when we write about it, right? You're like, okay, cool. It's addressing a need, but we want to see the game in action. And it delivered when it showed up.
I agree. Flintlock definitely got the energy back in the room for me.
Yeah. After this, a pleasant surprise, if I do say so myself, coming 2023, not early, is Minecraft Legends, a Minecraft real-time strategy game. Now, Cog, I can see a look on your face. You got a little scoff on your face, like,
You know what it is? Again, I hate this is when gamers are selfish, and I admit, you know, when I don't care about something, it really shows. And it's just like, all right, I get it. Minecraft is huge. And I'm in this pocket with certain studios by Xbox where it's like, I know this is what you do. And this is a million seller. This is the biggest game. Go. I get. Then there's that other part of it. It's like, can you show me something else besides Minecraft stuff? But it looked good. It looked fun. I ain't gonna front. You know, I thought it was gonna be turn-based. That's why that's another thing that threw me off. So I was like, all right.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, okay, so my information was wrong. So it's my own fault. I built myself up into thinking it was something other than what it was. And that's not the game's fault, is what it is. But no, I thought, listen, for a Minecraft, it did look good. It showed well. I know it's going to do well. It was just something I'm like, okay, it's not for me, but I get it. You know what I'm saying? And I want to say this. That's a lot of energy I felt from this show in the sense of they were checking off boxes, in my opinion. Where every genre, you can't walk away from a show and say you didn't have a genre fighting.
Yeah, sorry, hold on.
Fighting. But you know what I'm saying? For the most part, you walked away and said, you know what? I got one for me. And I think this was that. So that's why overall I don't complain in that sense. But where are you at? Like, how did you feel this game showed? Are you a Minecraft guy? Like, where are you at with this whole thing?
Yeah, Minecraft is not a game I love as much anymore. I still respect it. I tried to play it a lot earlier this year after the big update came for next gen consoles, and it's still great. It just doesn't have that itch I had that needed to be scratched in high school, where I loved hopping online. My friends and I would play till like 5 a.m, just building stuff, getting lost, exploring. Whoa, look at this cave I found. It's still got that energy, but it's kind of lost its awe for me. It's not, or rather, I should say, it's not as awe inspiring. Now, Minecraft Legends. This was a pleasant surprise. I thought this looked really good.
Tell me why. Sell me, Maddie. Come on.
Okay, so to me, it was the action elements. When I first heard Minecraft RTS, I thought of a bunch of little blocks with this bird's eye camera, and you're coordinating them. I'm like, don't you need to go to war in these RTS games? And why would there be a war in Minecraft? But it ends up being this kind of action RTS game where you're running around swinging your sword, using your flag, rallying the troops.
You're right. I did like that part.
It kind of started to remind me of I think this was an Xbox exclusive, but I'm not sure. It reminded me of an obscure game that we don't talk about much anymore, Overlord. And Overlord, where you had like the minions and you'd like summon them to do things for you throughout levels. This looks like a more open version of that. And it looked great. Like I was really about this. I went, oh, I could see the options here. This looks fun as you're ransacking a fortress and sending these creatures in to attack for you, and you're doing your own thing. It looked like a ton of fun, way better than it had any right to look. So this one really, really did catch me off guard, because I was like you know, with some other games, kind of like, yeah, okay. Oh, wait, what's this? Like, you know, it just really picked me up again. So to me, this is where it was starting to deliver. You know, Flintlock, Minecraft. I was like, okay, like one was a pleasant surprise in the sense of we heard about it, but we didn't know much, and it really delivered in Flintlock. And then Minecraft Legends, I'm like, yeah, okay. And it's like, wait, this is good. So to me, this was a win. I thought this was a great looking game, and I do look forward to it. And I also think about younger players who, you know, got their first dungeon crawler with Minecraft Dungeons, and now maybe they'll get their first RTS with Minecraft Legends. I think it's a wise move for the brand, but it looks appealing to people like me who have played these games and want more of that, something different with that. So thumbs up.
No doubt.
Next up, Lightyear Frontier. It's a kind of building survival sim. It looks gorgeous, by the way, graphically. You're in these mechs, you're collecting resources, you're building farms, you're having creatures, you know, join your farm and help take care of your stuff. It doesn't look like there's really any combat. It's just very exploration and farming heavy. It's funny, we were just talking about Minecraft, so this kind of fits that vein. If you pay very close attention to how they segmented this show, each section almost had like an identification. Like this was sort of the Minecraft style section. Then when you go back to the section we were complaining about, it's like, this is the expansions and DLC section. And in the end of the showcase, it's like, this is the Japanese section. You know, they kind of segmented everything strategically. So when you had someone who was like into Minecraft style games, you saw Legends, and then you saw something like Lightyear Frontier and went like, oh, more of that. Nice. You know, that's great. What did you feel about this game?
I actually came into it looking at it like judging very harshly, but as it kept showing, I'm like, you know what? It actually looked pretty decent. You know what I'm saying? I thought the color palette was really vibrant. Yes. I like the whole unique aspect with the mechs, and then kind of like farming and stuff like that, doing different mechanics in that way. It seemed true simulation, almost like, you know, farming and management and stuff like that, and watering stuff. But I thought it did, listen, again, those style of games I don't play, but I have to admit, I thought it showed well for that style of game. That it would be the type of game where, like, you know what? It's on Game Pass or something like that, I might try something like that. You know what I'm saying? It did. I thought it showed well for a genre I usually don't play.
Yeah, it's coming out spring 2023. Currently, no word on Game Pass. Here's the thing that they do tuck away, though. Early access. So it's not the final product then. So something to keep in mind. There was a lot of early access here, too. Overwatch, this, and that kind of displeased me. So they tucked that away, but I got to be real with myself and go like, okay, what I saw I was really pleased with and thought was a full game. So am I just upset with the title, or is it the action of having early access at the showcase? Hard to say, but did look good. Next on the list here, coming after Lightyear Frontier, was Gunfire Reborn. This is a rare 2022 game. Game Pass, day one, October 2022. It's a roguelite co-op game, cel-shaded, kind of simplistic art style. You know, it says it's got mix and matching of 40 plus weapons, 100 plus scrolls. This one looked to me okay. It looked like a very graphically simplistic Risk of Rain, I guess would probably be the best title to connect it to, except it's in first person. Did this one grab your attention at all?
Yeah, I was starting to fall back again. I was like,
Yeah, same here.
all right, I'm not seeing anything wowing per se. Nothing, it just, gotta be honest,
Kind of
man. It
a
just,
cool.
yeah, like, okay, it just looked generic. And I'm like, all right, again, this is the Super Bowl. So I don't
Sure.
know if this game, no disrespect, warranted to be on that stage with the others, but clearly they feel strongly about it. But it didn't, for whatever reason, it just didn't capture for me. I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah. No, and I think it's just because it's okay. So I'm gonna sound console warrior here, but I don't mean it. It's got that state of play, that Nindies energy. It's like, yeah, this belongs in a showcase, not the big one though. Exactly. That's the reality here. There's got to be. I like indies. There are a lot here. Like Lightyear Frontier is indie, but it doesn't look indie. This looks super indie. Again, something that you'd put in a Nintendo showcase and be like, hey, look, Gunfire Reborn. At least that's my read of it. And it seems we see eye to eye on that. One indie that did look excellent. The last case of Benedict Fox coming spring 2023. Now, I want to get your opinion on this right away. What was the feel from Lord Cognito seeing Benedict Fox walk into a manor? It's 2D, kind of Metroidvania. He walks down a stair set. He's in hell. He's getting chased by these tendrils. What's the feel looking at this one? Is Cog awake?
Yeah, I was like, okay, I like this. I like this one. This one, I got me. And it had that little spiritual aspect to it where he's kind of like talking to himself or a dead body or something like that. And then it really started to pull me in. And then I like the art style, the animation. I'm watching it right now again, and it almost gave me some Ori energy too, or certain things.
I said that. That. Yo. Yes.
It's a very, the light sourcing. Then it was a part with the flashlight. He's doing all this. And I'm like, you know what? I like you. I was like, I was ready to roll my eye. Do you deserve to be here? And I'm like, no. You deserve to be here. This looks good. You know what I'm saying? And it looked like it had a solid narrative behind it. I felt like I'm going to learn about what's really going on and get immersed. So yes, last case of Benedict Fox, you definitely got my respect, my attention. I'm paying attention to you for sure after this.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Ori energy, right off the rep. Now, Ori is like a heavily emotional game, but the Ori vibes I got were in the platforming. It looked very tightly controlled. It looked like the gameplay was smooth when he was using his knife on someone and did a finishing attack. I went, that looked good. That looked way better than it had to. Atmospheric. Again, the question marks. Like when you saw Ori, you're like, what is this world? Same thing here. And it reminded me, I said this in my video, it reminded me of a very obscure thing that I don't know how many people who listen to us play board games, but I play a lot of Mansions of Madness with my friends. And there's this one campaign where you walk into kind of the mansion like he does, and the mansion's like rotating and moving pieces as you're inside it. And everything's changing, and you're like getting messed up mentally, and you're like going into these like downstairs areas, and they're like the fiery pits of hell. You're like, wait. It's like this, but a full game. And it's easily currently my favorite Mansions of Madness campaign. It's one of my favorite ones I do with my friends. And to see it like almost like a video game, obviously with a lot of stuff on top of it, was awesome. I really was pleasantly surprised by this one because I was with you where, what happens is as you get deeper into the showcase, if they're not delivering, like we had that long stretch, you start to get jaded. Every game you see that's not a big name, you're like, oh, you got to earn it. You really got to earn your spot here.
Yes.
And this was one of those games that I feel like earned it big time. Like I saw it, I went, okay, this looks indie-ish. Sure, let's see what you got. And as I got deeper, I went, oh yeah, like this is a good get for them. Nothing about Game Pass, nothing about console exclusivity though for that one.
Right, correct.
Next, you've talked about.
No. I'm seeing Game Pass. Sorry, I'm looking at the trailer at the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah, spring 2023 ad, and it has the Xbox Game Pass logo on it.
Oh, my apologies. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Glad you caught that. That makes it all the more exciting. That's a really good get for them. This one you talked about during our prediction show, so I want to pass it to you right away. As Dusk Falls gets a release date of July 19th this year. It's an original interactive drama. It's got this interesting graphical style of almost like pastel. It's like real people in these settings, but it's almost like pastel. I don't know how to describe it, but it's a very unique art style. Seems like there's a lot of choices, a lot of paths the story can go. How do you feel about what you saw for As Dusk Falls as the man who called it?
Yeah, I'm a little biased towards this one. This is a weird one because on paper, it's kind of like, okay, this is a quote-unquote walking simulator, but it's kind of like this flash frame, like it's moving, but it's not moving, but then they're using these realistic faces and stuff like that. I generally like these type of games. I admit, I am a sucker for a good narrative in the vein of a Telltale kind of thing. And there is something about it. I don't know why it is. I'm gravitating towards it, but it's one of those games. Again, I know it's for me, but I could see people going, "Fam, I guess y'all giving this joint mad spotlight." Like there was a couple people who I just treated like, "Oh, I remember this one." You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, again, I wouldn't be mad if someone was like, "Yo, that could have been left for again a Tuesday situation." And I get it, you know what I'm saying? And I can't even dispute it, right? It's just, this is COG's little selfish indie gem. So I was happy to see a little bit more about it. But for the big stage, it's asking a lot. You're putting this out there, you're asking a lot, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally feel you. For me, I thought it looked way more interesting than I gave it credit for. Yeah. I watched the whole thing and I went, that actually looks... It's kind of got some, not Heavy Rain, but who's the developer of Heavy Rain? It's escaping me right now.
Those guys, Quantic? Is it Quantic?
Yes, Quantic Dreams. Mm-hmm. Kind of gave me those types of vibes.
Yes.
It's funny, though. People are calling it GTA loading screen the game. And I'm like,
yo!
That's disrespectful, but that's kind of fair. Like, it definitely, it's just a bunch of images. People are like, who said PowerPoints can't be games? It's like, I guess. Yeah, it's not one I'm going to over defend because I was pretty down on it, but it did make me kind of interested in playing it. Here's the thing, though, is that's dropping the same month as Live Alive on Switch, and that's the new 2D HD game. So a lot of these games, I want to pause here for a moment.
Let's go.
A lot of these games that I saw coming out 2023 or even sometime soon are like business decision games. Is nothing to compete for my time. It's like, you're probably going to get cut. You're like, oh, you look like As Dusk Falls. Oh, you look cool, but I'll probably play something else instead. And that goes to other things like deeper, especially in 2023. Lightyear Frontier is probably the best example. Like, oh, okay. Hey, this looks interesting. But when everything else first party, like Starfield, Redfall, and a million other 2023 games are here coming out in 2023, I'm probably not going to pick Lightyear Frontier. That's not going to be my first option personally. And so I think that's what we're going to really struggle with is a lot of these games are business decisions. And this might be long-term a inconsequential showcase when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to give one more thing about why I try to explain better why I like it. I realize what it is. It feels like one of those games that they're not going to be afraid to touch certain subject matter. Yes. I don't know why. It just feels like they're going to go places with certain things. And that's the vibe I'm getting. And then also, which I found out on stream, there's some level of a multiplayer component to it, which I was like, really? And I'm a sucker. I know what it is. I'm a sucker. Any one of my OGs know these books. I used to read these books called Choose Your Own Adventure. And basically, it's the paths you pick and then it branches out. Again, almost in that Quantic Dream. That's why I like Detroit Becomes Human. Like, you play it and it could go left and the whole game goes a whole nother direction. And I think I'm always a sucker for those type of choose your own adventure, branching paths, replayability. Okay, what happened if I would have did this and gave the gun here and do that? I always like those type of. So it's something about it that is calling me. But again, I get what you're saying on the business decision part. I get what you're saying that people are going to be like, all right, yeah, Cog, but and you bring this on the showcase, like you got your chest out with this. Like, I get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, we move on to another game that I don't have anything to say at all. Another DLC, another update. Naraka Bladepoint. It's a battle royale game with sword fighting. They added a new campaign mode. It's coming to Xbox June 23rd. Again, nothing to say. To me, I was just like, why the fuck is this here? But is there anything you want to throw out there?
This is when the show was cooking up for me.
Oh.
I'm like, all right, it's Dusk Falls, okay. Then I see Naraka. I'm like, ninjas. I'm like, samurai. I was like, what is this? I've never seen the game before. So I believe this is.
Oh, you haven't? I saw
I've
it at,
never seen this game. Yeah, I didn't know what this was. So I was like, yo, what is this? And I'm like, all right, NetEase. And it's feeling very ninja and samurai, and I'm seeing the combat, and I'm like, okay. I don't know what it was. And I know what it was. I saw cherry blossoms, and I'm biased towards cherry blossoms. And I'm like, yo, you got cherry blossoms, your gay cog is in. So I ain't going front. Naraka had me. So I'm like, I've never seen this game before, ever. I didn't even know it existed. So
okay, wow. So yeah, that's a huge difference maker, because when I first saw it, whenever it was announced, I was interested, but then I learned it was Battle Royale and NetEase, and I was like, yeah, you know what?
He was like, NetEase Battle Royale, I'm done.
I think I'm okay. Coming to Game Pass.
That's what I was like, bro, for the Game Pass, for the touch, this is what I'm going to touch right here for free. Let's go.
Yep, free 99. All right, Cog. Here we go. Let's talk about the legend, Josh Sawyer. Next game shows up. Pentiment, coming this November from Obsidian Entertainment. This kind of historical RPG, 16th century art, like wall paintings for art. Beautiful game, Disco Elysium inspired. I know you played Disco Elysium this year, or maybe it was last year. I might be misremembering. But
no, I think it was top of this year. I did
top
play
of this year?
Yeah, I was late to Disco, and then I got caught up.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet, so I want to get your read. I know you're King Obsidian, right? This is your company. This is their first show up, brand new game, Disco. Did Pentiment deliver for Lord Cognito?
All right, I gotta be honest.
Oh no,
my heart sank a little. I ain't gonna lie. This is one of those games that I know I'm gonna play it and I'm probably gonna fall in love with. But if Cog has to be honest, and I know I've been capping, I wear Obsidian shirts, they're my number one joint. And maybe this is a grounded moment again where I'm just jumping the gun too early. But when I saw it, it wasn't what I expected. It was giving me, you know what it gave me, Maddie? It gave me, you remember this game? I don't know if you ever played it. Tales of Monkey Island, Adventures of Curse of Monkey Island.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I haven't played it, but I've seen it.
It kind of looked like a point and click type, like mobile joint. And I know it's wrong for me to just judge something on pure look.
No, I don't think it's wrong. You know, what it was described to us did sound a little different, for sure.
Right. You know what it was? I had set my expectation that it was going to be small in scope, right? But I was thinking like Disco Elysium small in scope and you're moving around. I don't know. It felt very basic looking. But again, am I going to play it? Yes. Am I going to give it a chance? Yes. Is the writing probably phenomenal? Yes. Is it probably more deeper than I'm giving it credit for? Absolutely. Probably this is Josh. But I got to be honest, like my heart sunk a little, just a little. I don't know why I was disappointed. I was just like, I was expecting a little bit more on the production value, even though it may have been indie or whatever. So that's where I'm at. You know, and low key, I was getting laughed at. People were like, "This is your king." They were killing me. They were destroying me. And I gotta be honest, I didn't feel great when I saw it, but I'm willing to give it a chance to see what's going on. I'm curious, where are you at with it?
I loved it. I loved what I saw from this one. This is one of the ones I really liked.
Give me on the right side of history. Come on, talk me off
the thing is everything you said is totally fair and absolutely correct. It didn't really flex its muscles on why a Josh Sawyer game rocks.
Right.
And I think that's a mistake on their behalf when they presented it. I don't think they presented it properly. What they needed to do was show choices in action, repercussions, consequences. They didn't really display that. And having a trailer with a game with all this writing and no voice acting, you got to understand when your Xbox putting this trailer deep into the showcase, people are kind of fatiguing. They might be annoyed. Like, you know, this is one that I feel like you got to catch people while they're fresh. So they take the time to read, see what's there. Just a lot of decision making on the front of this trailer were bad. But I am definitely going out on a limb of saying, this is Josh Sawyer. I know the type of games he's made in an open world. This is smaller than that, but it's more reactive, possibly.
Right.
And that is exciting to me. Reactivity is exciting in a video game. And the tighter they get, the more reactive you can be. Right. So I saw little things like the guy headbutts someone. I saw this kind of like work wheel spinning around. Someone was getting burnt at the stake. And I'm like, these could have been outcomes for choices. I don't know. But that's the problem. They didn't really show that. So I agree with you. I don't think it was the best trailer. I love the art style, though. There is nothing like this. And I like that. I really commend them for being bold with it. You know, this is where I got to just give Xbox some roses for literally letting Obsidian do what the fuck they want.
Oh, they definitely are.
Yeah. I just think, like, if you're trying to market games, this is not marketable.
Correct.
And making it like a game coming out in the heart of November. It's a big 2022 holiday game in a way. First party studio. And they're like, here's Pentiment. It's bold, man, because you got to admit, one of the big omissions here, and maybe we could talk about it now because we're talking about another Obsidian game.
Let's get it.
Or, I'm sorry, Avowed. Avowed was not here. So yeah, it's a strange look for Obsidian to be like, here's Ground 1.0, here's Pentiment, no Avowed update. So I've said all I have to on Pentiment. Would you like to move into Avowed and it being missing from the show?
Yeah, I think that's what it really hit for me too. Because again, I agree with you. I know I'm going to love that game. I know I'm going to love Pentiment once I get my hands on it. But you know what I was thinking about, Maddie, when we did the Defiling Duke, and people are like, "Yo, I'm unsubscribing," right? For the AAA guy, this is the type of energy that they're going to be like, nah, fam, I'm not staying for this. Mm-hmm. You're not wowing me with this. As much as I love Pentiment, I have to take my bias out of it, right? Mm-hmm. And look at it from a perspective of a person who likes AAA games. They're going to look at that and be like, okay, that's cute. Where's Avowed, the one that y'all been talking about, right? So then we get to the show and I'm like, and remember, I got to take the L on this because I've been pumping up Obsidian hard. And I'm like, yo, Obsidian's going to show out, but a lot of it is based on Avowed being there, and the rest is supposed to be supplementary. You see what I'm saying? So that's why it hit. 100%. That's why it hit harder for me that Avowed wasn't there, because I'm like, damn. So yeah, we got to talk about it. And this is about, now that I've got some time to process it, this is how I feel about Avowed not being there. I feel that when we get to Starfield and where we think now Starfield is going to land, right? Maybe potentially closer to the top of 2023 than we thought, right? And I think we've said this, or maybe me and you said it, or me and Rand said it, where it's like, I feel like Avowed and Starfield cannot be anywhere near each other. I feel like they literally, so when you get the initial precedent and tone set by Sarah Bond saying the next 12 months, which is June to June, right? Mm-hmm. This is what's coming out, and we don't see Avowed there. Now, to me, you've locked Avowed into the holiday corner, right? And you're not going to show it because it's in that. And I get it from a marketing standpoint, but it still doesn't mean that I can't be disappointed, because their mindset is like, hey, we're going to show it at next year's E3 when it actually releases, which I understand. But when you have a showcase like this, which doesn't have a lot of AAA games, like the majority are more indie, the majority are more AA, I can see how someone could get frustrated and disappointed by it. But I'm curious with you. You had high expectations for Avowed, Mr. Maddie plays. So, where are you at with this portion of it in the Avowed conundrum?
That 2022 pick hurting big now. Hurting, man. I thought they had it in them. I thought the surprise was there, See you in 5 months. Here's Avowed. Yeah, it stings just not seeing it, in all seriousness, because it was a joke pick. It was our bold, foolish predictions. Not protecting myself because I was out there. I was having fun with it. But, I did expect to see this. In all reality, in all seriousness, the expectation was we will lay eyes on Avowed. There was another missing one, and I do want to have a section after all this of what is missing. But there were other 2023 games that I thought we would lay eyes on here that we didn't see at all, that I was very surprised by. This was probably the biggest surprise for me as an omission, next to probably Halo. Like Halo, I thought it shouldn't show up. I'm predicting it's not going to show up, but I feel Xbox is going to find a way anyway with all the updates they had. I think there was good reason for that. But Avowed, man, this is a game that outside of Starfield, I don't think there was a show stealer, like mid-show reveal. I don't think we had that here. And as you kind of comb through the list here of what was revealed, a lot of it's got, again, we got to quote King. It's got a lot of Tuesday energy. It does have a lot of extended showcase energy. Like, think about, let's go to Microsoft Flight Simulator. They revealed the Top Gun stuff and their little trailer for their update at the extended showcase, and it's here in the full one. So what the fuck does that say about the extended one? I'm scared to find out as we record this episode. And we'll record another one after this, so don't worry. We're doing like 2 episodes this week. But I just feel like no Avowed. Like, that was one I was hoping they'd push for, just to, you put it perfectly. Here's a look at the future, right? You gave us a look at something we already knew about that landed soft, right? Forza Motorsport. It's like, okay, I just played Horizon not that long ago. I know they're different in the fine tuning and the control of vehicles. I understand they're completely different games on a feel level, but we know generally racing games what to expect. We got a good look at Redfall. We got a good look at Starfield. And I feel like otherwise the 2023 first party lineup that we were trying to take a look at felt kind of vacant. And I thought this would be the one that would say like, and hey, after Starfield, here's what you got to look forward to. But now it's anyone's guess. And there was people reporting on a tweet from Jason Schreier that he deleted because he said, I don't want people to make stories about it. But he said Avowed has been rebooted a number of times and that it's switched leadership. So I imagine he'll make a more full story on that. If he doesn't, I'm going to reach out to him about it before our show and see if he can give me an answer on it. I don't want to go all off on it, but maybe that had something to do with it. But then again, you go off what Jez saw late, what was it, last year?
Yeah.
It's a really interesting situation of reports on both sides kind of conflicting now. A studio that's reportedly been said to have really thrived under Xbox, and we're seeing that, releasing 2 full games this year. You know, one was in early access, but one is a full-on game, and no big AAA game to show for it. So it stings. I think it hurt the show for sure. Not even because, I built myself up and I think it was a fair expectation to say like, hey, we saw this in 2020, just like we saw Forza Motorsport get announced in 2020. Now it's time to see it. And maybe we'll see it 2023 at some point. It's going to be an interesting next year for Xbox for sure. But this was definitely a painful omission. Sticking with Obsidian,
let's get it.
Let's talk about Grounded. 1.0 release is coming. The full story is here. Otherwise, they've done a bunch of updates for it. The Hot and Hazy update was, I think, their most recent one. It looks good. It's coming out in September. This is one of the few survival style games I actually like. I think the vibe of it, the style of it really carries it. You know, this shrunken down children in a backyard and like the big structures of the games, instead of them being buildings, they're like baseballs, and they keep adding to it. And one thing that did interest me when I first played this was the narrative. I was like, why am I here? Why am I like this? And they put a couple good breadcrumbs early on. So I'm actually keen to hop into this and learn more, see if it's worthwhile. But what was your feel on, even though there's no Avowed, you saw Pentiment, and then after this, you saw Grounded. Wait, I'm sorry. Before I pass it to you, Obsidian, go fuck yourselves. I cannot believe that you did that Fallout trailer stuff, and you did that to me. When they did the TV and started pulling out, I was like, no, man.
Yeah.
Like, no. You guys can't do that with the New Vegas 2 rumors. You can't ever do that again. Because even though I saw the TV and I was like, that's like colored. That's not like the 50s. This doesn't look like Fallout, but it's got the Fallout style. What are they doing? These trailer parodies like Dead Island 2 and Goat Simulator 3 and Obsidian doing Fallout stuff, cut it out. Yeah. Stop it. It's hurting. Now, Cog, to you. No. Grounded, what's the read?
100% right on the deep fakes with the other trailers. I agree with you on that. No, Grounded looked good. I can't take that away from Grounded. Grounded looked good. I was always a hater in the beginning, but I've come full circle. Again, Obsidian to me still, I'm going to stand on, they haven't made a whack game yet. That game looks fun. For a person who doesn't even like the genre, I tried it. I played it. I had a ball. It looks like it has a great narrative. The art style looks cool. It looks more robust. Of course I'm going to try it. It's Game Pass. I'm going to mess with it. No doubt. I got to give Grounded flowers. Again, I'm just selfish Cog. Mm-hmm. Still in the mourning phase of no Avowed during that point. Because once Obsidian left, I believe that was the last of them. We did the Pentiment and the Grounded back to back. And I'm like, okay. And right now, I'm like, okay, it's going to come. It's going
Yeah.
And it did. And it's like, so where you were at with Fallout, I went into it.
Oh yeah.
Brother, I went into a deep depression. I'm like, oh no, Obsidian's done for the day. Right?
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
why I'm looking at Pentiment and Ground and like, all right.
Yeah,
And it's not
I
their
totally get
fault because the big boy ain't come outside. And that's why I got into my
Mhm.
depression. Again.
Mm-hmm. I totally hear you on that. It makes sense. I was feeling for you during that moment. But the thing they move on to after Grounded was a cog ass game, I thought. It's called Ereban Shadow Legacy. This is a console exclusive coming to Xbox in 2023. It's being published by Raw Fury, who's been tightening up their relationship with a bit with Xbox. We've seen them a couple of times now. Day one Game Pass, of course. Now this one is interesting because it's like it's a game about like not being in the light, and so you're crawling around the shadows. You're going up walls and stuff. It's stealthy, almost in ninja vibes here, I would say. I want to dish this to you right away because I want to know if you liked it, because I thought of you when I saw it.
Bro, this felt to my soul. This was like Origami Tenchu and Contrast had a baby. It was a very unique game, and I liked how you were like this little smoke cloud going through. You know, you use it. It looks like you have to stay out of the light, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it just spoke stealth. I like the mechanical robots in it. You know, I don't know where they're at. And it looks like the character can kind of like manipulate and take over the robots, which I thought was cool. The actual character does look like it's straight out of our Origami, though. Like I don't like literally like they took the Origami playbook as far as the way this design of the ninja suit looked. But I like that little smoke cloud, stay out the light thing, and I'm a sucker for stealth, and I think this one has a lot of potential. I like that Xbox put the name behind this. But yeah, Ereban Shadow Legacy's got my attention. Never heard of it, never knew about it, but I'm in. I'm in now, and it's in Game Pass, and I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in as well. I think there's a staggering lacking of good stealth games. This one looked really solid, so I'm interested to see more on it. Next game. I guess you could say day one Game Pass, but there's a certain deal that's got to go through for it to happen. It's coming out 2023. One of the games of the show for many, and I would agree. Diablo 4. This looks way, way better than I thought it was going to, man. I was really impressed. You know, when I saw the Necromancer, I went, oh, it's got to be Diablo. But they had that trailer go for so long. I was like, is it not? Is it a game about being a Necromancer? That could be cool too. But then they show it's the 5th class, the final class, all gameplay captured on Series X. It's open world, 150 plus dungeons, PvP, shared world. You can be the champion of the world, and people are going to try to invade and kill you for loot. It looks superb. Cog, what's the feel on this one? You were pretty big on this going into the showcase.
Yeah, this is what they needed. Diablo, man, it was beyond impressive. This thing looked absolutely phenomenal. It was so good to see Rod Ferguson. I'm such a Rod Ferguson fan, and to see him back on the Microsoft stage again felt right as a former Coalition guy. Yeah, this thing looked phenomenal. The thing that impressed me was the spell variety. I saw some things from Necromancer. It was like some kind of snake spell, and it kind of wrapped around someone. It looked crazy. They had some other like blood-looking tumbler spell thing. Yeah. It looked crazy. I love the diversity in the biomes. You had like wintry kind of peaks. Then you had hellish other things. You had dungeons. And they started talking about endgame. They talk about the shared world co-op stuff. It looked phenomenal. I love the customization. I love the skill trees. I realized how much I miss Diablo. And I'm just like, man, now, correct me if I'm wrong, did we get a date on this?
Just 2023, no date.
Okay, so it's next year, because we're not getting it this year. But look, this is good. I mean, it wasn't no Game Pass yet, because obviously, clearly the deal's probably not done, so it's still kind of open to everybody energy. But look, it showed well. I think this was top 3. You could easily make a top 3 of the show for me. I mean, Diablo's was strong. Like, to me, I was like, okay, like the whole energy of our stream went up. And we were just like, yes, let's go. This is what we're talking about. You know, it just felt heavy and weighted, and it would weigh. And I'm in. I cannot wait for this game. It really, did a good show. What about you? Are you a Diablo guy? Did you have that same effect, that feel when you showed up?
Okay, let me start by saying this game looks excellent. Here's why I'm like feeling the reluctance to trust. I just played Diablo Immortal for a review. And I was shocked to see how many mechanics are being shared between this and Diablo 4. And Diablo 4 is taking it a step forward. Like the shared world is in Immortal. You'll see other players exploring the hubs with you and fighting with you. And it's really cool. It's actually one of my favorite parts of that game. But now this game in Diablo 4 is taking a step further. It's like, you're going to get invaded. You're going to be like, if you're really alive, killing things, having a lot of loot, you're going to be marked and people are going to try to fight you in this kind of seamless PvP experience. It reminds me of how I felt about Sniper Elite. I love in Sniper Elite 5 as you're like crawling around the levels that there's another sniper who's another player threatening you. Such a cool part. I'm really falling in love with these invasion mechanics that are seamless. Again, not to slander Deathloop too harsh, because it's not the point here, but I thought that's when it's done poorly, where it's just kind of this like, here they come, the levels are smaller, it's way too tight for me, but this looks open, and it looks like there's a lot of room to explore and do things, and it really delivered. But here's why I'm reluctant to trust is like they've been really going off the deep end with the Diablo monetization, and Diablo Immortal really screams that. And a lot of people are like, it's hard to get excited, but I can't deny it looks good type of energy is what I was reading about online. And I get that. Like, I 100% understand that because this is a company that won't be afraid to take your money. And you got to imagine there's going to be some type of microtransactions with the success of Diablo, day one Game Pass, co-op. Like it's just got all of the bells and whistles. Now, I'd love to be completely wrong about that or even corrected here in real time. I'll double check myself, but it's just something that I worry about a little bit because there are these shared mechanics, and in one game they're being exploited. I'm like, why wouldn't you exploit them in the bigger game? But that aside, to mimic what you said, this looks phenomenal. This looks like so much fun. It's been, I haven't played I feel like a good looter since Diablo 3. I really liked Torchlight 2. That was really underrated. But Diablo 3, like just the control, the classes, the end game being the beginning of it. A lot of what Blizzard was saying during this seemed to be like, we get what made the game worked. Here's how we're going to build on top of it. Because when I saw the alpha gameplay on GameSpot a while ago, I was like, okay, this looks like more Diablo 3, but prettier. But there were spells, man, in this game. Like someone had a tidal wave of blood. He raises it up and it clears a whole hallway as he's just running behind. I'm like, that's what I'm looking for, dude. That was awesome. So Diablo 4 really delivering. Love what I saw for that game.
Sure.
Shout out to Ben Smith on this one. Sea of Thieves. Getting ship loadouts, customizing your cabin. You can name your ships, cash in some points for loot. Season 7 is arriving July 21st. COG. Rare's here. No banjo like it was reported.
Yeah.
No Everwild as we expected.
Yeah.
Just Sea of Thieves. Now, this is one of those things where you look at Sea of Thieves, you look at Forza, you look at Microsoft Flight Sim. They may not be the sexiest games, but they're big, important games.
Yes.
So did it take the air out of the room a bit as everyone's getting more hyped in the hotel at GCX? Did you go when this happened?
I'm like, told you. I knew it was going to be here. I was like, I don't know what y'all thought because people were hoping that it wasn't. I'm like, no, it's going to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, shout out to Ben. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew it. It's too big. It's too popular. They got content. They got stuff they want to show. I wasn't really mad at it. I was just like, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? Because I felt like it didn't overstay. It got in, did what it had to do, got out. So I was cool with it. And you got to support all your biggest titles. But again, the Tuesday Energy argument was coming back up again. Like, did you have to?
This didn't have to be here. That's
right. And that was what people were saying in the room. Yeah.
Because, again, I was happy to see it in the sense of like, yes, this should be a part of Xbox's showcase. But it just, to me, again, should have been saved for the extended showcase.
Right.
Now, I don't have much to say, and I think you were right. It kind of got in, got out, so I'm not going to really beat it over the head. But this day one Game Pass game that's coming right after it, man, coming 2023, Ravenlok, what was the feel on this?
It was Addict and King that put me onto it. And at first, I was ready to hate. I was like, what's this?
Oh, really?
And then I saw it. I was like, oh, no, this looked kind of cool. Like, it really was like really colorful. The vegetation just looks really dense. And it was winning me over. I'm like, this actually looks really good. So yeah, I was coming in ready to hate on a cutesy game, and I'm like, no, this got depth. And I forgot damn, Addict mentioned the name of the game. And when
Echo
he said,
Generation.
I'm like, yeah, it was, oh man, it really started to resonate. I'm like, yo, this got a lot of potential. So yeah. I definitely, Ravenlok, my bad. I came in negative at you. But as you kept showing, I'm like, no, this game is cool. I can't front. Dude. So yeah, Ravenlok got a thumbs up from Cog.
Cog, this is a top fiver for your boy.
Woo,
This game, man, like when you first saw it, I thought immediately of Echo Generation. It says, from the developers of Echo Generation. I'm like, okay, that game didn't look bad, but it looked a little too blocky.
Right.
This game seems to have perfected that art style to be like this blending of Minecraft blockiness, pixel art, but also three-dimensional. And when she like had her sword and she was like circling this big boss character and the combat was smooth. And like you said, the environments were dense and colorful. This looks so good.
It does.
It's coming day one to Game Pass 2023. I am 100% looking forward to playing this one. This is a must play to me. It looks really good. It's got a charm with that art style for sure. Yes. It's got a craziness in its enemy design. Like I'm looking at one right now. It's kind of got like this royal dress, but then its face is split open with a ton of spikes in its mouth. It's got a crown. It's got butterfly wings. They're just having fun, man. Like it's very artistically driven. I love what I saw with Ravenlok. Definitely a pleasant surprise. What you were looking for from the show, right? Oh, I didn't know about this. Oh, I didn't hear about this, but now I want it. Oh, it's coming day one to Game Pass. Nice. Like, give me more of that. So I was happy with what I saw with Ravenlok.
Yeah, no, it looked good. It looked good. And I like that the boss fight. It was kind of like this Dinobot looking thing with wings. It just looked unique. And I was like, okay, they show it out, they doing different things. I did like it.
After that, they showed an indie game coming day one to Game Pass. It's called Cocoon. It comes from Jeppy Carlson. I apologize if I'm saying the name wrong, but the lead gameplay designer of Limbo and Inside. And I know you love these games, so I want to pass it to you. This is a high bar for you. It's the game, for those who don't remember, that's got these colorful balls and you're like putting them in platforms and quickly like zipping through levels as different alleyways and doors open up. It looks, for a puzzle game, pretty smooth playing. And I want to know, Cog, as someone who's big on those games that inspired this, how you feel going into this one.
I'm going to be honest. A little disappointed. A little, because I'm such an Inside and Limbo fanboy that maybe I'm stuck that I wanted another one of those. And then when I saw this, and I'm just like, all right, puzzle and the circle. And like, I love their games because they always have like this ambient mystery. You're in these kind of dystopian worlds. And this just didn't look like that. It's just like, okay, we're going to do puzzles. We're going to do some certain things. Of course, I'm going to give it a shot. I don't know everything about it. But for whatever reason, it didn't hit like I thought it would from the pedigree of the people that I love. And I just got to give it a shot before. But right now, I'm lukewarm. I'm like, look, you look different. You're trying something different. I'm going to give you a shot. But I wanted another Inside. I wanted another, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to be honest. That's what I wanted. You know what I'm saying? So I
totally get you.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for this part.
Yeah. This is a game that looks like it's going to break my brain, so I'm not going to play it. Just looking at some of the puzzles and like the movement while also tracking what's unlocking, what's turning. I'm just like, nah, dude. Like I already don't play puzzle games, and this just looks like something that would drive me fucking insane. So
I feel you.
I will pass on that one. Doesn't look bad, but definitely not one that I'm interested in playing. But again, day one Game Pass 2023.
Yes.
Then it picks up.
Let's get it.
Maddie's awake at this moment.
Let's get it.
Team Ninja branded across the screen. And I sit up and I go, who? Team Ninja? Oh, we're showing Japanese games? I'm like, when have we seen this from Xbox in the last couple of years? Okay. They show off Wolong Fallen Dynasty. Early 2023, day one, Game Pass. Feels like we're proud to be working again with Team Ninja. They were a longtime partner of ours. We're happy to be with them. Cog, as the ninja himself, before I go off, I gotta know, what's the feel from you about this day one Game Pass title?
All right, first off, I see Team Ninja, right? So I put my own little breadcrumbs together and came up with a wrong decision. Because remember, just recently they had they brought, I think, Ninja Gaidens and stuff was in Game Pass and stuff, and I've been playing them. So I'm like, Team Ninja.
I know where your head's at. Yeah, I thought of it too.
They're about to make another Ninja Gaiden. Let's go. But I'm like, all right, this ain't Ninja Gaiden. But what is this? And I'm starting to look at it, and I'm just like, yo, this looks crazy. Then I start learning more. And I guess it's one of the creators of Bloodborne also on this, sir.
Oh.
Yes. And this is, I was like, okay. And then you know me, Cog the Ninja. I'm seeing samurais, I'm seeing dragons, I'm seeing a Souls-like type environment. The art style looks absolutely phenomenal. Japanese energy is just oozing through this thing. Then at first, when I saw it, I was like, wait a minute, it's not Wukong. Okay, Wolong. Okay, cool. But, bro, this looked good. I am really impressed with this. And yeah, they look like they got one, man. Game Pass, early 2023. Bro, I'm in on this. This is what I want to see Xbox have in their stable and not miss out. And from this part of the show on, this is when Cobbs got his chest out. Hey, Starve, I got to call you out because you know I'm going to get you on the next couple of segments too. And I'm like, yeah, this is that Japanese energy that we've been screaming from the rooftops. Let's go, Xbox. This is what you need. You cannot miss these games. You better have these games. And I don't know if this is exclusive, but the fact that it's in Game Pass is
on Game Pass. No word on exclusivity.
Huge
deal. The cool part about this is there's Neo, as people know, there's Neo 1, Neo 2. And it's kind of like, it's as if they took Samurai Warriors and made it into a Souls-like game. If you look closely at the trailer, you'll see characters from Dynasty Warriors like Liu Bei, Cao Cao, Zhang Liang. Like, there's a number of them that if you've played these games, you'll recognize. And I saw it, I went, oh, there, because the description they give in the trailer here is Wolong Fallen Dynasty follows the dramatic action-packed story of a nameless, malicious soldier. So I imagine you're going to create your character fighting for survival in a dark fantasy version of the later Han Dynasty where demons plague the three kingdoms. They're literally going to make, I'm telling you now, quote me, clip me, this is going to be Neo crosses Dynasty Warriors, and it is going to be fucking amazing. Because Neo 2, when you look at the Souls-like competitors, right? You look at all that's out there. I thought the Surge was solid, but Neo 2, head and shoulders above all that competition that's standing up against From Software. And if I'm ever From Software looking over my shoulder, they're the team I'm thinking of. Because I think it's literally Elden Ring, Bloodborne, like they're up there as the best of the best. But Neo 2, man, it could be my favorite on some days if you catch me in the right mood. Neo 2 was masterful. So this is a significant partnership. Day one Game Pass, it's huge. It's one of the big ones we were looking for. It's Japanese. That's what we want, Xbox. Like, this was big. But that was not all. Finally. Oh my God. Phil's face during this. Did you see his face?
Bro, he was popping off. He had that face.
So hyped.
He was so proud to throw it in and saw a face.
Yes.
Because this is the thing. They told me this day would never. I'm sorry, I got to jump in. They told me this day would never happen. They told me this day would never. They said, Carl, not Atlas. They won't give their pristine games. Not the Persona. You're going to get Persona Sideshow. You're not going to get anything mainline. And to see Phil's face, Maddie, I don't know if it was a different type of swag. He was
smiling so big, bro. Yes, bigger than anything else he talked about on that show.
I agree. He was happy to bring this one home. So I'm gonna let you go. I want to know how you was feeling.
I popped so loud for this, man. I couldn't believe it because they start with Persona 3 and I'm like, what? Persona 3? Are you kidding? They're doing this. I'm like, they gotta be doing 5. And then they do 4 gold. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go. And then it's 5. And I'm like, is it 5 Royal? It's 5 Royal. All day one Game Pass. Dude, before Nintendo, I told people since this show started, I said, Phil has made express trips to Sega about these games. You could tell by his face, this motherfucker wanted these on his platform.
He was so proud.
He was, man. And he finally got them. And now y'all are never going to hear the end of me because now you can't escape. You can't go, oh, I don't got a PlayStation, I don't got a Vita, I don't got a PC. You got Xboxes. I know you do. You have Game Pass. This is our moment. Persona has finally come to Xbox. Persona 3 Portable, Persona 4 Gold, and Persona 5 Royal, all the definitive versions of the best Persona games in Game Pass. And you know what this says to me, Cog? You know what it says to me?
What does it say?
Persona 6 is going to be on Xbox.
Yes!
That's what it says to me. And that excites me more than anything. Is it setting a standard for the future with now Team Ninja, Persona? I am stoked about this for the present and the future, man. I cannot wait.
Well said. I mean, that's what this meant. This was symbolic. This is like, yo, I've heard you. We are never missing out on this.
I felt so acknowledged during this.
Bro, I felt like you listened to Define and Do. You listen to us cry about it. You listen to us be on your neck. Where are these games? They cannot miss your platform. And again, we know Atlas kind of went to their own drum, right? So it was like, no, I'm going to go over there and we're making this, whatever we got to do, it's going to happen. And the seed, you know what's crazy, Maddie? I didn't even see when 5 got announced in this thing. I was yelling when 3. I said, it's done. I said, he got them all. He said, so someone's holding on for dear life. He said, wait, but that's just it. I said, it's all he got. Once I seen Persona on an X, I knew he got it. So I said, this is just the flex.
Yeah. The victory was firmed up.
Bro, I got to listen to the replay of my own stream, how ridiculous I was acting.
I got to do the same.
Ridiculous, out of pocket, and childish. Like, it was bad. How it just felt good, bro. It felt good to see it. So again, you had the Wolong. I'm going crazy. Persona 3, 4, 5. I'm like, a Game Pass. Let's go. I'm going to touch all these games. Let's go. And then, Maddie's my moment.
It's your moment. The prediction that he's been making for a while. Let's get into it. The partnership with Xbox and Kojima gets announced, Cog. This has been your thing for showcase after showcase. And you said for this last one, I believe your words were, I'm going to predict it anyway. And you did it, and it happened. What was that moment in the room like for you?
For a person I've slandered so long, I've never been so happy to see this man's face.
I said the same thing. I got so hyped that I literally went, yo, I don't even like this dude's games.
I'm fully admit, y'all can put the fraud light on me, I'll take it. But I felt this was important. This was a Phil flex. Japanese games, everything you want, new Japanese games, and we've got the guy. We've got the guy. The symbolism of Kojima on an Xbox stage in any present was just mind-blowing. And I know people go, oh, they didn't show the game. There's nothing. I don't care. The reason why is you have to set, let me tell you what this is symbolic. It's basically this generation is a new day. This is a new day. Xbox is not going to miss out on these things anymore. And guess what? We're going to have our own exclusive title by Kojima making it. Bro, I lost it. It was so cool to see. And I'm just excited to see what he comes up with. We know he's eccentric. He know he beats his own drum. But to see him utilize the cloud tech and whatever he has, and I predicted it, because I'm like, at some point, I know the game's not ready, but I said, you've got to get the base up. And this is where I really start to feel the show now doing this hard.
Yeah, it's skyrocketing in this stretch here.
So it's like, we'll get to the end of our thoughts, but I'm like, this segment on from, like I said, Wolong down was some real magic for me, and I lost it.
I'm right there with you. This was a top showcase moment for me. Like, not just this, but in general, man. Like, this was a special stretch. You got to we're going to look back at this, and I'm not trying to be overzealous or hyperbolic about it. saying we're teaming up with Team Ninja, we're doing day one Game Pass, and then we got Atlas, and we're bringing Persona 5 Royal to Game Pass October 21st, and we're partnering with Kojima. That was a message sent, and then you cap it off with Starfield, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but you cap it off with that. That is a momentous stretch of reveals, announcements, partnerships made that I think every Xbox fan should be excited about. That was a huge moment for the future of that company, was saying those are the top three right there when you really look at it. You got Team Ninja, Atlas, and Kojima Productions. Like, those are some of the biggest developers in Japan. And he got all three of them back to back to back for significant reveals and announcements in the showcase. It is a huge deal that cannot be overstated enough.
Agreed.
So, Conk, I'm glad you finally got yours. They said it exactly what it is. It's a cloud game. He said it's possible because of the Azure tech. We'll see it when we see it. Nothing underwhelming to me about that. It's just that, because what happens now is Kojima is a Japanese icon, right? We both called the fraud alert on ourselves. Like, I love MGS2, but that's really it for me.
Agreed.
Not that his other games are bad, but that's the one that I really like. Everything else, I'm like, okay. But I get the significance. He is an icon for Japanese game creators. And seeing him be on Xbox as a stage, it's going to create a movement. People are going to be like, if Kojima's doing it, if Team Ninja's doing it, if Atlas is doing it, okay, we're going to do it. And I love that Atlas is coming together a little tighter with Xbox because we got Soul Hackers coming on launch day. It's not coming to Switch for whatever reason, but it's there on Xbox. The precedent is being set. This was a monumental moment for those of us who are big JRPG fans. It's probably my favorite genre outside of the open world Western RPGs like Bethesda Game Studios and Obsidian and so on. That was huge for me. Big deal. So I was thrilled at this point.
I was there. Let's get it.
And then
I'm going to let you set it off.
Show ender.
Let's go.
Todd Howard steps out. And we're excited to show you Starfield. And this was my game of the show. I do have some lingering concerns that I do want to air eventually, but this delivered on everything I imagined. Everything. I was like, I want the exploration. Got it. I want the customization. Got it. I want to see the animation technology that they've been talking about since 2018. Got that big time. The facial animations, beautiful. The mobility. I want to see evolved combat. Got it. I want to see spaceship combat. Got it. I want to know how many planets I can get on and what they look like. Got it. They fucking delivered on this game ad nauseum. Like, I was shocked by how much we saw. 15 minutes of gameplay. Wow. We saw character building, crafting. Cog, to start this conversation, I want to give it to you. I've been branding the shirt for months now. What was your feeling laying eyes on Starfield? This is the milestone game for Xbox among all of them out there. And what was your feeling when you saw it for the first time? Did it deliver?
This was, wow. What? Someone surprised you. This was a very controversial thing in our stream, this point of the show. It starts off.
Not overwhelming adoration for it, for sure.
Right. We start off because I'm looking at the show and I'm like, wait a minute. No Starfield yet. When we went to the Pete Hines section, right? And I'm like, okay, they're gonna come there. And there's, oh no, we're coming later. So I'm like, okay, where is it? Where are we gonna show it? Like, so I'm gonna be honest. This is what my initial feel was when it's announced. Because I'm looking, I'm like, okay, we're like 60 minutes or whatever it was. And I'm like, oh, they're gonna end with it. So my thought process, and hear me out before you criticize me, was I was a little disappointed only because I'm like, I didn't want Starfield necessarily to end. I wanted, by the way, there's more of like Avowed.
I think if you flipped Starfield and put it in front of everything with the Japanese stuff, but yeah, Avowed would have been great. But I think if you flip these two, that could have been it, right? Right. By the way, with Kojima, would have been huge.
Right. And I get it now that I'm looking back. But that at first I'm like, okay, this is it. So I'm like, all right, let's see. I'm a little nervous, Maddie. I'm not gonna lie to you.
My heart was beating.
I was nervous. I'm like, this game gotta show good for all this talk. Now, brutal honest. You might not like me on this part.
Mm.
They show the joint, and I'm like, okay, it looks good. But I'm not gonna lie, man. When we first started stepping out, I'm like, it feels 30. It feels 30 frames energy. Then he started to pick up a pace a little bit, and it was a little framey, just a little framey.
Oh, absolutely. That was one of my critiques for sure.
Like,
Frame rate was not good.
No, don't fumble the ball in front of everybody like this. No, come on, Starfield, come on. Yeah. So I'm already, and then Solve is like, I don't know, creation. So he's already putting negative energy on me. Everyone's so I'm like, damn, it's not showing the way it's supposed to show. Right? So I'm getting a little bit beside myself. So this is the weirdest reveal of a game and my emotions I've gone through. I'm gonna tell you why. So I'm starting off very suspect. Then they start to show more, and then they start, okay, here's the ship, and here's this, and then here's the town. Then I'm starting to see the interactions with NPCs. Now they're talking crap. I'm like, that NPC look good to me, and I'm looking at the face animation. It looked fine to me. Now I know people gonna be like, yeah, but the dead eyes cog, they need to get. All right, whatever. It didn't look bad to me. I thought it looked good.
I never noticed the eye stuff people are talking about outside of Andromeda. I've never noticed it, but I'm not disregarding it. But it's something I've never caught.
That's just me. Then I'm looking at the density of the worlds and everything that's going on, and I'm like, yo, that's a lot in here, right? Mm-hmm. This is when it started to really, and I started to silence the room that was hating, some of the room that was hating, which is. He's like, yeah, and then we can do the ship stuff. And then he goes up and they go into space. And I'm like, oh, this is a straight Elite Dangerous. This is No Man's Sky now. I said, what game is doing this that got the scope like this? You tell me. And you want to complain about a frame here and there? Okay, fine. Show me a game that you taking off, you going in there, you doing ship-to-ship combat. Then, oh, by the way, you thought we was hub world, Mass Effect? Oh, no. We go to the whole planet, and we can land here, we can land here. I'm like, oh, no. I said, I don't want to hear it. I said, this is massive scope, y'all. Y'all not understanding what he's saying. Then they went back down, landed down. They did their little combat. Yeah, the combat, I wasn't like wowing, but it was solid.
The combat looked bad, but I'll talk about that later.
Yeah, it could be better. I'm not going to say it can't be. All I'm saying, what I realized about this game, this is the most ambitious project I have seen from them. And
100%.
To me, the sheer scope and how much in my mind I know I'm going to be immersed in this excited me beyond belief, brother. So I'm like, I don't care what any of y'all talk about. This is for me. But I get it. In fairness, yes, there was a couple of little rough edges here and there with the combat, a little rough edges, couple of here and there with the frame rate. I'm not going to say it's not. That's why I say, yo, take your time, please. Take your time, please.
That's what the delay is for, isn't it?
They delay, because this thing, if they pull this off, will be one of the most ambitious games I have ever seen. But Maddie, I'll give it back to you. But yeah, overall, it started shaking for me, and then it started going like this, and then I started getting confident, and I'm like, no, I'm good.
Started to get confident. Yeah, same. Because for me, it was kind of like, you can watch my reaction for those who want to see the raw reaction, like literally as the gameplay's playing out in front of me. Like I'm hyped, it starts, and it's a crescendo, slow up build. When the combat started, my reaction was, oh, I don't like how that gun shot. I was like, I don't like how that looked. And then he tries to do a crouch slide. And I'm like, what the fuck was that, man? Like, that did not look good at all. Like, what are we doing here? Really? And they continue the gunplay. And it got cool when he was like, he shot the back of someone's backpack and he shot up into space. I'm like, okay, like that's a cool detail. He jumps, he glides. I'm like, that's
that jump glide. That jump glide third person to the joint was fire. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, I'm totally fine. I'm just like, okay, if we can clean up the shooting a little bit, because Fallout 4 shooting isn't this, it's not like Doom Eternal. It never will be. But I think Fallout 4 and like Cyberpunk 2077 are examples of we can be RPGs that are competent shooters. And that's the main issue, the main takeaway I had was this did not look like a competent shooter. And I'm hoping that one of the delays was to clean that up. The one thing I will say in Starfield's defense is on the shooting front, I should mention. I think of Fallout 4 where they're like, here's the pipe pistol. It's like that looks and shoots like crap because it literally is a pipe pistol. The gameplay we saw was level 1 and level 2 enemies you're fighting. So you're using the beginner weapons, not modded. And Bethesda games typically do create that crescendo of like you feel really weak and you go God mode by the end of the game. So my hope is that this may just by the systems in the game be a thing of the past when you go to the crafting station, you modify those weapons, you get certain weapons that shoot faster, that feel better. Because again, to compare a pipe pistol to something like the combat shotgun in Fallout 4, night and day difference, in my opinion. Like one really has a kickback, it feels powerful. The other one is like a weak pea shooter and it feels like shit. So I'm wondering if that's the situation here that's happening with Starfield, but it did not look like it felt good. I thought it was kind of underwhelming when he took the shotgun out. He was up on the stairs. He had the lower half lined up. I'm like, oh, blow this man in half.
Yeah.
Shoots him and he just, and drops it. I'm like,
yeah.
No blood, no gore.
I agree.
What?
I agree.
Disappointing.
Mhm.
But then
Let's go.
we start to see the real technological flexes of what Creation Engine 2 is going to do for Bethesda. One thing that they have not gotten right is making these characters look like they have some life to them. And right away, I noticed this when you took out your pistol, you aimed it at the creature on the hill. And then as he walked away, you saw the head turn. He kind of like lowered the gun and kind of staggered his step a little bit. I was like, that was lifelike. And then you see the faces talking to you. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I never thought Bethesda would do this. And I get it. That's like a low bar. Because for me, it's about the writing, the exploration,
of course.
the gameplay, the questing. I never cared about this. But when I saw their faces moving and they were like raising an eyebrow, they looked angry, happy. I was like, this is like Oblivion. Like, this is literally Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion's conversation system with better facial technology. I'm like, this is, yes. Now, I was a little upset they didn't show dialogue boxes. They didn't really confirm, is your character silent or voiced? I imagine they're not voiced, but we have yet to see it. And again, it's building uphill. We're seeing the building up this crescendo. We're seeing the planets. Then we see the character creator. Cog, I want to know your thoughts on this. The backgrounds, the traits. I know you're big on character creators. You're highly critical of them. Did this look like it was delivering for you?
Yeah, I really love the character creator. I really love the diversity. I felt the Asian representation looked absolutely phenomenal. I believe there was also some, obviously, NPCs, African American, that I thought looked good. I look like I can create anything and everything. I felt it was a step up. I really like what I saw. I like the background, the trees, the story tropes, all the perks and stuff. It looked just so in depth. It just looked like something I would just immerse myself in that creator for hours, making and customizing the type of character that I wanted to make. And that looks good. And correct me, I want to ask you this because I was seeing moments of it going into third person. And I'm like, is that a mode where you can play like that or not? Because I was very curious about that. Like, obviously, even when you first walked out the ship and then you saw him in the suit and you looked at, like you said, that creature, but it was showing you from a third person perspective. So I'm like, is that an optional mode? Are we doing that? Or
yeah, I mean, they said before, it's funny you mentioned that. They always showed it in like a cutscene style, right? But they did say before launch, it'll be like their traditional games, or I'm sorry, before reveal, it'll be like their traditional games, first and third person.
Okay.
So it will be playable. I could practically guarantee that. And it's one of the few games that I go hard with the character creator because I feel like they do a good job displaying your character and the way the camera's pivoted and how it rotates around you. I always love playing these games in like third person, but yeah, I don't think that's something you've got to worry about, but that's a good catch because I didn't even think about that. So it's a really good catch.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. But yeah, you were saying about this creator
it's building up, right? You know, the character creator I thought looked good. I thought it looked detailed more than what they've done before. I thought Fallout 4's character creator was good, but this looks like it's focusing on the body, the aesthetics too. I'm like, okay, nice. Like that's something else I was really looking for from that. And they get to the background and the traits. And I got to do my trailer deep dive. So I haven't looked quite closely at like what you can do, what you can be. But there were options. And I was sitting there, I was about to cry. I'm like, dude, Morrowind. I was like, Morrowind, the backgrounds, the signs, the stars. Oh my God. Yes. And then you move into crafting. This is one thing I didn't want them to drop from Fallout 4, and I'm happy they didn't. The weapon modding in Fallout 4 is one of the most under-discussed aspects of that game. There was a lot wrong with it, a lot worth criticizing about it, but I don't think that game gets enough roses for its level of customization, of modding your weapons, the scopes, and how you can just create these weapons of mass destruction that look funky, but somehow still look like they belong in the world, and they brought them back. And you saw on the left side of the screen, when they brought up the crafting station, it just wasn't weapons. There was stuff like food, chemicals, and more that I haven't even taken a look at. And I was like, okay, this is going to be deeper than what they've done. And on that note, they confirmed it. I don't know how to feel about it quite yet. I'm still processing this part.
Let's go.
Settlement mode's back.
Yes.
They're like, you can build your outposts. You can have NPCs manage it for you. And I go, you can see my raw reaction. I burst out laughing because in the beginning of it all, I'm like, he starts mining. It's the first frame. He starts mining the rocks and collecting materials. And I went, oh no, there's going to be settlement mode. He's collecting materials for something. So let's pause there, Cog, breaking it down. What did you think about crafting and building being in Starfield?
I liked it. I thought there was, it looked like they had some diversity in builds and weapon builds. And I liked that. I think it was one of my writers actually pointed it out too. And to me, that's where I really get more immersed with just the different styles of weapons and how it fits into that universe. And yeah, I didn't have a problem. I'm not a big settlement mode guy either, but I was just like, okay, this is one of their staples. It's in the game. So again, it just, to me, all this was, it's now I'm starting to see the layers of depth added as the showcase, as the reveal keeps going. I'm like, oh, it got this, oh, it has this, and it has this. And I'm like,
it's got depth, bro. It's got depth. That's what I'm
And to the hardcore RPG, you're speaking to our soul. We're like, oh, this ain't no fluff. They went all out with it. So that's where I'm just building confidence as it's going on.
Yeah, because I'm looking now. I'm bringing up the trailer now because I just can't help myself. They have pharmacology, food and drink, outpost development, equipment, and weaponry as these things that you can like do for the crafting station. And they show the weapons in action. And you know, I love how it's I don't want to say magnum opus but what I love here is like, this is, I'll give it this benefit of the doubt. I'm not if I could speak, relatively sold on these multiple planets yet.
Okay,
just jump ahead a little bit. They say like 1,000+ planets. I'm looking right now at the screenshot. He's on the planet Vectera. It says survey 100%, resources 9 out of 9. And this is the planet that they placed the outpost on.
Right.
So much like Fallout 4 had locations that were just designed to be settlements.
Gotcha.
There will be planets that are just to be outposts here.
I see where you're going.
I'm definitely worried about that because it's got to be a focus point of the design. It's as much as you and I were hardcore, Cog. This mode sells people more than anything, man. It's huge. All I ask from Bethesda is that these play a factor that is meaningful, because I think as a idea, settlements, outposts in this case do matter and could belong. But when they take away from why we mostly play BGS games, the writing, the exploration, the stories, and especially the questing, that's where I start to lose it a bit. So if we can make it where we could set up an outpost here on, what's the planet name again? Vectera. And as I build this outpost, I tell one of my NPCs, go manage this. And as the outpost builds up, unique NPCs make their way to that outpost. Then there's quests unlocked there. That would be cool. My question is, obviously, and I want to know your thoughts on this.
What's up?
You look at the outposts, and obviously you're going to build these across a number of planets. What are you building them for? What's the ultimate goal? What are they producing for you? What are they doing? That's because they show it briefly, right? That's the thing. I'm like, maybe this is a side mechanic, because they're like, there's outpost building, by the way. He plants a flag. No building is shown outside of like a couple of buildings, prefabs being placed, and it's over. It's literally over in a heartbeat. So what is your feel for what settlements may lead to?
I think it looks like it's going to have a way more robust, role in the game. I think that the vibe I get is they're going to build upon what they know does well for them. But if you're going to put it in planets in that way, to me, I think they're hiding something. I don't know why. I just get this vibe like they're hiding another component we don't know about, and maybe. Just maybe the social I don't know. I don't want to get too crazy.
I see.
Yeah, like there's a part of me that's like, they ain't giving their full hand yet. And
yeah, they definitely skimmed the surface on some. And this was one of those moments.
And there's always been I don't know if this is true. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but like, I always feel like if there's ever a way to have some type of social or multiplayer component, maybe this is the way you sneak something in. That's what I'm curious if there's going to be another added part of it, because I do feel to your point, there's a reason. There's a reason that they're going in this direction. And I think they may have an extra added aspect to it. But we'll see. Maybe not, but we'll see.
Next on the list,
mm-hmm.
ship customization. This was the evolution. This is where I started to really pop off. The jacket was flipping around. I'm like, you can customize. It's just not the Outpost. And that made me so happy. I was like, oh, these are systems of Fallout 4. This is a Starfield system through and through. Yes, customizing your ship. I was like, I never once crossed my mind. And oh my God, does it make sense? Like it's changing how it controls the health, the shields, and they show it flying around in combat. So let's take that all together. I want to pass it back to you. How are you feeling about like Starfield ship customization and how it looked in the stars, and you're flying around, you're fighting?
This was for me. This definitely gave me, I would say, like, again, the Elite Dangerous. Like, I kind of like, one of my like low-key genres that I like. I used to be, I don't know if you ever played this game called Wing Commander. I used to be a big Wing Commander guy. And Wing Commander was kind of like this narrative, space combat kind of a game. And the only other game I've seen recently that kind of gave me that vibe was a game called Everspace 2. And when I see this, I'm like, you're giving me an extra game in my game. And when I saw Starfield, I'm like, oh, Starfield, you just now, you giving me another cheesecake. You giving me cheesecake with the meal. Like, this is a side thing I didn't expect in it. So you're giving me ship customization. You're giving me dog fights in space. You're giving me traversal in space. I am the space dude. So like, I'm like, yo, y'all hitting notes for me. You know what I'm saying? The key is just, okay, make sure the execution, how you transition between is smooth. But the premise, again, I'm going to use that word again, scope. The scope of what this game is doing, you tell me what other game is doing this. And I want to sit here and I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. And that's why I'm like, because now it's like, okay, you Morrowind, you Elder Scrolls, and you No Man's Sky, and you Elite Dangerous, and you. So I'm like, go ahead, keep doing what you're doing, baby. I'm again, my confidence is up. You know, I'm loving what I'm hearing, everything they're talking about that shipbuilding. I'm in.
Yeah, the flying overall looked a little. When I say sluggish, I don't mean like it didn't look like a Star Wars Starfighter was like doing 180s immediately. Yeah. Maybe you could customize it to do that, but it looked like you were almost in this hulking ship that you did need to be very deliberate in how you maneuvered it. But by the way, let's just recount the past here. For a team that could barely get fucking horse riding right, this looked way with a million Y's better than I thought it ever was going to. And so that's part of it, like over delivering on my very low expectations for this. I thought this was going to look like the worst part of the game. And I think it was my favorite part of the whole thing. And y'all know how I feel about vehicles and games.
Facts. No, I'm with you. I think they really, like I said, was it the most mind-blowing ship flying I've ever seen? No, but it looks solid. And again, coming from them, I'm like, yo, this is a big deal that they have this in the game. Like, I didn't expect this. Like, this is really impressive to me. So I'm all about it.
Now, Lord Mass Effect.
Let's get it.
Last aspect I wanted to talk about.
Let's get it.
Todd's talking. It looks like it's wrapping up. And he's like, let me show you how big this game is. And it's become clear now based off the report from Kotaku, and it makes sense with how he saved that for last, that Todd is a bigger is better guy. What I want to know on how you feel is when he said over 1,000 planets, he shows a planet, pulls it out to a solar system. He goes, there's 100 solar systems. What was the feeling as you were watching basically a Bethesda Mass Effect manifest before your eyes?
Bro, I'm popping off at this moment. I'm like, wait a minute, what? And then he's scanning out. And he used the keys like, oh yeah, not just this specific part you can land on only. He kept stressing like the scope and how big it is. And I'm just like, yo, that's my only complaint or nitpick to a Mass Effect style game. And I get it. There's going to be guys that's going to say, look, yeah, but the graphical fidelity wasn't that impressive. But show me a game that's going to do this, because you're normally always limited to a certain specific area where you could go. And the vibe I got, unless we get the game that's different, is that you could really explore. You can really go into these worlds. So I'm in, bro. Like this speaks to my space exploration energy, the great frontier settlements. Like this is why these are the reasons why people, you want to say, oh, these guys don't even know. These are the reasons why we're that excited. It really seems like something the game is not really done yet, and truly doing space exploration in an RPG setting. And yeah, man, like he saw, people gonna say, well, is he overselling? Maybe, but I'm in. I am in, bro. Where you at?
Yeah. That's always something you got to worry about with Todd is the
Yeah.
overselling. For example, it doesn't look like it's seamless No Man's Sky levels taking
Right.
off of planets. It looks
Right.
like there's a place that you go to where your ship is docked effectively.
Right.
And then when you get into your ship, I imagine there's a menu of some kind that lets you select which solar system or which part of space you want to go to. You send it up there, and there's probably a loading screen between those points.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of fine with that because if it's all procedural generation, which is something people feared with the 1,000 Planets,
right.
I feel like if it were like that, it would be more seamless.
Right.
What I'm feeling, just based off what I know about Bethesda, is there is a chance. Like I'm worried that some of these 1,000 planets will be lifeless, and some will.
Yeah, like barren. Yeah.
Part of the fun of Bethesda again is going into that cave, finding that quest, and going, "Oh, I didn't know this was here. What is this?" And getting so deeply involved in a really fun storyline. So I'm hoping we don't lose that in the breadth of this game, like in how expansive of a video game that it truly is. That's the one thing I do worry about with Starfield is like, wide as an ocean, deep as a puddle type of thing. I get afraid of that because that's what Fallout 4 was in a lot of ways. It looked like it was doing a lot of things. The good news here is Starfield has introduced a couple of new systems and looks like they've overhauled existing things. Like they overhauled the existing RPG systems. They overhauled the animation tech instead of trying to build a bunch of new things. So that makes me feel a little more confident in them. Because again, going back to the history of Bethesda Game Studios, I think since Oblivion, what they do is they procedurally generate the terrain on your planets or the place you'll be exploring, and they build upon that. So my guess is they're likely going to take these 1,000 planets. They're all procedurally generated on a terrain level, as in the stuff, the hills you're walking on, the ups and downs are not handcrafted. But the things you'll go into are put together by the staff. And if it's like that, Oblivion did that, Fallout 3 did that, and that's excellent. That's what we want. So my fingers are crossed that ends up being true, but that is the one thing that among all else I was a little worried about for sure.
No, that's fair. That's fair. And like I said, this game obviously going to have to be put to the test. We have to see what, the things that are claimed, what we could actually do if they execute on it. But I'm with you. I mean, yeah, like I think that's fair criticism to question it. But at the same time, I think like, again, they really showed out as far as, again, the scope, how big, what you can do, but pure RPG, mechanics in the biggest stage. And I thought overall it did itself well. And at the same time, I thought overall, yes, take as much time as you need with this one.
Yeah, there were definitely a couple of stumbles here or there, but I think the core things that I cared about looked good. The flying looked good. Character creator looked good. NPCs looked good. Exploration, we have to see more of it. I think that might even be something with a game this big. It's hard to tell you about that, right? Because if it's that big with that many planets, how do you show all that? How do you show an example of that? Do you show a quest line? Does that ruin something? I don't know. So I'm curious about that. It seems like they're following the 4 or 5 faction setup. They showed each of the main factions, United Colony. They showed Neon. They showed the Crimson Fleet. So it looks like they're keeping those as the main pillars, the factions of the world, and maybe each has their own storyline. We'll see how that all unfolds. But it seems like there's this artifact that they're looking for in the center of the universe. And again, it's just way more than I expected. With how the delay occurred, I was like, oh, they're just not going to show us more than 5 minutes. I said anything more than 5 minutes is a treat. And I'm like, I got 15. I got 3 times the amount I was expecting. Like, dude, I felt like they really delivered on this one.
Yeah, I agree. I felt overall it was strong, and I didn't expect to get that much Starfield, and I got a lot. So yes. I'm happy, man. Man.
Same here. Now, to really start wrapping things up, because that's everything we saw at the showcase. We gave our rating at the front of this. I just want to talk with you briefly about what was missing. GoldenEye, Stalker, Avowed, Fallout and Gears Remastered possibly, no machine games, Contraband, Deathloop, Halo, and I'm probably missing some. I mean, Hellblade we kind of expected, no Project Midnight from Compulsion, no In Exile Entertainment. So a lot of stuff that when you start to pull away, and I'm sure in a week this conversation will evolve more, you look at all the first party stuff, there's an excitement of like, oh, they got a lot in their pocket that they're just stuffing away, waiting to show. And they have so much built up for 2023. Do you feel upset with what's missing here?
Yes. The reason why I feel upset with what's missing is because we know that the future is bright. We know they got a lot for 2023 and beyond. But I just think it goes to the theme of there were some things that just didn't need to be on this particular stage that could have been replaced with, when you already know that you're not going to deliver 2 AAA games in 2022. There's a part that to me says you have to break protocol a little bit to get hope. And I'm sorry, showing content that most people already had an idea that you were going to do is not going to do that. I don't think Microsoft Flight Simulator and the DLC for Forza and, you know what I'm saying? No disrespect. Like, it's just not big enough to kind of heal that wound. Right.
Yes.
And that's the problem. There's a wound here. And that's what we talked about, that middle or whatever, that part of that show where we're like, oh, bro, like, what's going on? And I think if you substitute a couple of those things out and you would have put a Project Midnight trailer, if it was ready, you know what I'm saying? If you had things that had a trailer ready conceptually, that could have helped. And then I just think the order of things were weird. I just, outside of the end, I love that final, Rocket's red glare towards the end. But yeah, to your question, yes. A couple of those that were missing, I would have loved to be inserted into this show. Actually, I would have said something else. I almost feel the show could have been shorter.
Yes, I agree.
And again, you put in a couple of those moments of, oh, yo, there's Project such and such, here's Hellblade or here's Avowed, and you go, okay, it feels strong. And that's where it really hurt me and hurt them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree that this is a lesson, hopefully, to them that, pardon me, I am so burpy this episode, that less is more. Less is definitely more Xbox. I would rather a 1 to 1.5 hour showcase that removes the likes of 76 The Pit, ESO High Isle, Flight Simulator Anniversary, especially if you have so much content that there's an extended showcase on the 14th. Like, you have everything clearly structured where there's room to show other things, other updates, where I imagine, for example, again, this might be an outdated comment, but I could envision us seeing Todd Howard at this Xbox Bethesda Showcase Extended to talk about Starfield, to talk about what they're doing, what it was like revealing things. And there you could be like, oh, by the way, here's what else we're doing at Bethesda. Here's the Pit trailer. Here's the ESO High Rise. We're excited to show these things off and give some flair to that. Because I think what happens here is this major showcase was really hurt by needless add-ons, those types of things that fluff it up. And there was even a couple of moments of CG just breaking up the flow, the vision of like, we didn't need to see Arc 2. It just, there was nothing to show. It was CGI. Our History Untold. Excited for a new RTS, Xbox first party studios working on it, or I'm sorry, Xbox Game Studios working on it. Cool. But it's just CGI for an RTS. That tells us literally that's the most tell nothing trailer of all time. So there's not much you can really take away from it. And I think they just have to learn that, fluffing up and announcing isn't always a good thing. And if you have an extra show where the expectations are different, like no one in their right mind is looking at the Xbox Bethesda Games Showcase the same as they're looking at the extended showcase. They know you're going to put your best and your biggest in the game showcase. Put the addition, the fluff, the extra stuff in the extended one. For the hardcore, for the people who are looking for more, and spread the wealth. Because here I think it could have been an all-timer when you really remove that fluff. You take out that whole middle core and you look at what's there, and most of the stuff that you saw was pretty good and exciting and interesting. It's just there was a long stretch of just, I think, misery. And of course, there's some, like, in my opinion, that under-delivered. I thought Redfall did not look that great. I know some will disagree with that, but I think you want to leave it to opinion as much as you can and less to like, wow, I wasted my time, which a certain stretch felt like it did that. So
I agree.
No, I was just gonna say that's how I feel about that. Otherwise, what's missing, it's really an awkward spot because I am disappointed I didn't get to see something like, I thought Contraband was a lock. I thought Avowed was a lock. I felt pretty good about my Fallout remasters. I'm going to hold out hope for maybe like August. We see that like QuakeCon type announcement. Who knows? Maybe they do that. That's what they did for Skyrim. We'll see. But I just feel like there's also this excitement of like, okay, we saw what's lined up for 2023. We've always known that 2023 is going to be like a pop-off moment for them. And there's more, right? Like they had we call it like a 6, a 7 out of 10 showcase, which a 6 isn't great. A 7, I'm like, okay, good. They had that type of showcase without unveiling a lot of the stuff that we've been waiting for. And I think there is something that you can understandably be annoyed at the same time going, oh, there's still a lot to be excited about in the future. Like they're not blowing their whole load at this showcase. And I think that is wise of them. And so do you expect any of these missing here to show up at, say, the Keeleys, the summer, or I'm sorry, not Summer Games Fest, the Game Awards? Do you think they show up here? And do you think anything we saw here, maybe now Xbox has a deeper presence at Tokyo Game Show? What's your read on some upcoming showcases and what Xbox could be doing for those?
Yeah, I think that I'm not gonna get my hopes up high for like Summer Games Fest. I think they probably all holding on to a few things for like XO and all that stuff, Gamescom or whatever. But I think TGS they definitely got more in the top. The biggest take I got of this was the commitment to Japanese games and the market, and that was the most positive thing I could see from them. So This looks like they're not going away. So I could see that. But to your point, I don't see. I'm gonna be honest. Like I'll be surprised if this extended showcase really shows us stuff we didn't see that was so crazy. Because put it this way: if they have stuff on extended showcase that's fire, I'm gonna be mad because one of them is gonna be like, how you gonna put this on this stage and not, you know what I mean? Like then that shows that there's somebody organizing the show that still isn't in tune with what people want to see. You know what I'm saying? And the last point I'll say is, the only thing I worry about, and it's not a criticism of Game Pass, but the only thing I worry about is that to me, this show shows like, yo, we have everything. We have this and we have that. And but like you said, it less sometimes is more. Sometimes you got to just trim the fat and be like, okay, these are okay announcements, some of these. But are these really warranting your big stage, your Super Bowl? And if not, cut it out. It's okay to do 60 minutes. You don't have to do 95 all the time. I'd rather 60 minutes of bang, bang, bang and get the room up and a couple of joints in there. You know what I'm saying? But save, a couple of DLC and content. Unless the content is so, I'll give Hot Wheels. Okay, Hot Wheels look fun. You know what I'm saying? Unless the content is so wowing and so generation, then you're like, okay, you know what? That deserves a big stage. That's actually really cool. And I just think they need someone to kind of sift through that a little bit better and make a little bit more concise show for their 90-minute joint. So that's what I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see how the rest of this week unfolds. For those who are wondering, again, we're doing this show immediately, and then we are recording a second show this week for the Showcase Extended and catching up on all the news and everything that has occurred throughout the week, and getting back to our usual cadence on Wednesday recording sessions for Thursday early access releases. And then for those on free feeds, you'll see us next Sunday. Yeah, man, it was a solid show, really disappointing and rough in a lot of stretches though.
Yeah.
And the heavy hitters, I think, saved the show. If Starfield didn't show out the way it did and they didn't have all those Japanese announcements, I think I'd be having a much different conversation here. But that's the thing. That's where the personality comes into it, right? Like you and especially me, I'd say like that really speaks to me. That really is like what I've looked for. So I understand if people are way more disappointed than I am. There are some other standouts that I loved, like High on Life, one of my favorites of the show. Like that game looks great. So overall, definitely a spotty showcase for Xbox. And it seems like they're punting a lot of this to next year, man. A lot of next year energy here.
A lot of this exposed what I thought, which was 2022 is kind of light for the most part. We got some joints, but it's kind of light. And now to 2020, the Bethesda thing did hurt them. That's what I looked at. And hopefully the learning lesson they can get from this is that you got to have contingency plans for stuff like this. And And I think PlayStation does do a little bit better there, and that's just what they got to learn. Like if you have your heart set on one or two publishers here and there, and you got nothing else, in case they don't hit the demand, then you're going to get exposed like that. And I think that's why maybe the indies and the DLC and all that content probably got way more time than they needed, because they had to fill out the gap of a 90-minute show or something. So let's see.
So to round it up, just so everyone has a nice, concise look at Xbox's 2022 and Xbox's 2023, I have the image up that Xbox posted on their personal Twitter account. 2022 for Game Pass is going to bring you Naraka, Bladepoint, As Dusk Falls, Somerville, A Plague Tale, Requiem, Valheim, Warhammer 40k Darktide, Grounded, The Pitt, Overwatch 2, High on Life, Scorn, Atomic Heart, Gotham Knights is here, but it's just for 2022, not Game Pass. Gunfire Reborn, Persona 5 Royal, Pentiment, Halo Season 3, Microsoft Flight Simulator 40th Anniversary, Party Animals, Slime Rancher. Those are your Game Pass games. They also have Hogwarts Legacy here as a 2022 game, which I thought was interesting. Then for 2023, Diablo 4, Redfall, Starfield, Forza Motorsport, Minecraft Legends, Ara History Untold, Wolong Fallen Dynasty, Stalker 2, Flintlock, Eden Chronicle 100 Heroes, League of Legends, Wild Rift, Valorant, Teamfight Tactics, Legends of Runeterra, Arc 2, Persona 3 Portable, Persona 4 Golden, Replaced, Ereban Shadow Legacy, Ravenlok, The Last Case of Benedict Fox, and Cocoon. So 2023 for Xbox on a console exclusive basis, on a third-party basis, it looks really, really good.
Super
really
strong.
Good. Yeah, like I feel really good about that, but 2022 is some light pickings here, a lot of catch-up work being done. I'm looking forward to Pentiment probably the most, but otherwise, of course, my favorite High on Life. But otherwise, 2022 is looking as light as we expected. So any closing thoughts, Cog? Or shall we wrap this up?
No, another one in the books, man. This was the moment. We got through it. I love where we were at with this one and the array of emotions with this one. But yeah, another show in the books by the Dukes.
Absolutely. We hope you enjoyed our play-by-play of everything that was revealed at the Xbox Bethesda Games Showcase for 2022. We appreciate your support. And for those of you who are listening, maybe you're new here, we hope to see you next time around. For those of you who are the loyal Dukes, we will see you next time around. With that, take great care of yourselves. Again, we're available on patreon.com/laststandmedia, where you can get early access for our show on Thursdays, and then we go available on free feeds on Sundays. But other than that, take excellent care of yourselves. Look forward to seeing your thoughts down below or wherever you decide to post your feedback. And oh my gosh, we almost forgot the hashtag. Wow.
Yeah,
we did that last week. We almost forgot.
Yeah, we forgot.
Caught it.
I didn't even think about one. Damn.
Man, there's so much we could pick from here. Starfield, Japanese W's were aplenty.
Japanese
do we get nasty about Persona? Like,
hey, we could be petty.
Persona on Xbox,
it's too long though. What's so sweet? Sort of sweeter though. Because I think we already had like an Atlas DD or something like that one time. I think we did.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
I'll let you rock. Whatever. What you think? What you thinking? I can't think of anything.
We could just do Persona DD.
Yeah, Persona DD.
Yeah, Persona DD. You got this deep. Just remind everyone what happened. A little flex that we're here. We got our Persona. Yeah, so you got this deep, whether it be in the comments, on the Twitter, all that stuff. I'm at G27 Status. That's at Lord Cognito. You can tweet at both of us. Let us know your thoughts on the show. Again, hashtag Persona DD. And with that, now I will wrap it up. Take great care of yourselves, and we'll see you all in the next episode of Defining Duke and Xbox Podcast. Peace out.
Peace.
Defining Duke, an Xbox Podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.